We'll see how he wakes up this morning.
Good
I'll
evening,
see if I can hear crying
everybody.
in the background.
Good evening, good morning, Nick. Good evening, everybody else. Welcome to the Midweek Mix-Up Weekend Edition. And of course, with our special guest this week, Special Nick. I keep going to say Shepsel Nick,
Yeah, I know. Everyone does.
Special Nick from XboxEra. Of course, co-founder and co-host of the XboxEra. Before we get into yourself and your background, first of all, General C, how are you doing today, brother? What you been up to?
Oh, yeah, I'm doing good. I've been playing a few games today. Almost finished Half-Life 2. Been playing a bit of Weird West. It's pretty much
Half-Life 2.
yeah, Half-Life 2 is the first time I've ever played Half-Life 2.
Really?
Took me long enough.
Wow.
Yeah,
Okay.
I'm really enjoying that. I'm loving that game. I'm probably going to buy Half-Life 2 Episode 1 and Episode 2 and play those as soon as possible. Probably stream that. But yeah, just been playing those few games. Only really had time to game today. I've been busy doing other things.
Happy days, happy days. And of course, Nick, it's very early in the AM for you. You definitely haven't had time to game
Yeah,
this
it
morning.
is. No, not yet. I have been playing a little bit this weekend, not a whole lot, but it's been mostly I went back to Tunic. I kind of got stuck a little bit on Tunic,
Yeah,
and then sort of discovered that you can like pray at different spots.
yes,
And then as soon as I discovered that, kind of opens up the game quite a bit,
yeah,
to the point where I really sort of got immersed into it and ended up beating it without realizing. Like I didn't want to beat it because I wanted to unlock everything before I did. But because a lot of the time in Tunic, you don't actually know what the hell you're doing, or at least I didn't anyway.
I
And
fully get that.
I ended up beating the game without realizing I was beating the game. And I'm like, oh man. And then after you've beat it, it tells you, do you want to retry and go back and get all the missing stuff, or do you want to start a new game plus? So I'm like, yep, retry. So now I'm just making my way now, trying to get all the pages and all the other collectibles. But it's a really good game. And a little bit of Lego's Star Wars Skywalker Saga. That's a fun game too. It's just a lot. It's like Ubisoft a lot.
yeah. I've heard it's
There's
quite
just
big.
massive game. Like
That's
it's
something I do want to pick up soon. The Lego Star
yeah,
Wars game.
stunning game. A lot of fun, really funny, but just it's a lot.
Yeah,
Like overwhelmingly so. But it's good.
yeah. Is it? I mean, obviously, I've played a lot of the Lego games before, like Pirates of the Caribbean and Batman, etc. But like in comparison to them, size-wise, this one I'm guessing dwarfs it then.
It dwarfs most games, not just Lego games. It just dwarfs most games out there. It's huge. Just yeah, must have been a massive undertaking. I mean, probably explains partially why it took so many years to come out.
Yeah.
But it's just huge.
Definitely, definitely. No, it is one that I'm going to get at some point. I think Tiny Tina's Wonderland. I keep hearing good things about that as well. So I think it's not because I've heard as well. It isn't like an open world like regular Borderlands are. It's more of a kind of semi-open world, little hub spaces as opposed to big open spaces. So it
Yeah,
sounds like it's much easier to get into because again, you've only got so much time on your hands and so many games to play.
that's right.
And you can't just
That's
keep
exactly
playing these
right.
massive open, like Elden Ring. Jesus Christ, like that thing is
Yeah, I
just
know.
so big.
I still need to
Still
go
haven't got
back to
that.
that.
Still haven't got it yet.
Yeah. I put about 2 hours in and then just kind of, I don't know. I struggled to keep going.
Yeah,
I don't know. Maybe they're just not for me, those games. I don't know.
To be honest, I played Tunic and I was like, that's hard. Do I really want to
It
play Elden
is.
Ring?
Tunic is hard. I just put the God mode on and played it that way, and it makes it
That's
way more
exactly
fun.
what I did. I got to the first. I got to a part with a turret, and you'll probably
Yep.
know what part I'm talking about. It's like a
Yep.
little bridge area. I couldn't
Yep.
figure out how to like block it or anything. I'm trying to use the shield, it weren't working. So I just put God mode on in the
Really?
end. Yeah, it weren't working. Like it weren't the turret weren't stopping the turret from doing damage to me or anything like that. So
Oh wow. Okay.
unless I was doing something wrong, but I just
Interesting.
in the end turned God mode on, got past that, and then I
It
went
just makes
down
it
the
more
ladder.
fun.
Yeah, I went down the ladder, got to the first boss, and then I died to the first boss a couple of times, and I was like, no, God mode's staying on now.
Yeah. It just makes it as soon as you turn God mode on, it basically turns it into just a fun Zelda game.
Yeah,
And
I
you
was
just
like,
explore and solve puzzles and
Yeah.
all that sort of stuff.
I was like, how can something so cute be so deadly?
Yeah. It is.
So
It's super hard.
It is.
I'm still freaking out that you were playing Half-Life 2. Like I can't. Like, what do you think of it? Are you enjoying it, or did you enjoy
Oh
it?
yeah. For me, it's a close second to how good Halo 2 is, and I absolutely love Halo 2. I'm really enjoying Half-Life 2.
Very interesting.
yeah,
See, my only exposure to Half-Life 2 was on the OG Xbox.
Mm.
I've never played it on PC or anything like that. I played the original Half-Life on Dreamcast,
Mm.
and then Half-Life 2 on the OG Xbox. I
I
think
think
I
it's
prefer the first
still
one.
backwards compatibility, like compatible if you have the orange box.
Oh,
So it
really?
should work on the Series X. It's not for
Oh, okay.
on digital though, which is weird. But
Yeah.
I did a bit of research because I did a video on it because I do
Yeah.
a video series where I play games and I decide if I'm going to continue playing it or not. And
Yeah.
I had to do a little bit of research because I wanted to find out and let people know whether they could play it. According to multiple sources, it's playable on Series X. So
Interesting.
definitely
I
think
wonder
it's
how
worth.
hard it would be to get a hold of, though. a
Yeah.
disc copy.
Yeah. I'd imagine it. Probably people would price hike that game now because it's
Yeah.
so rare to find. But hopefully
Right.
someday soon they make some sort of, I don't know, port or add it back to the digital marketplace.
I'm pretty
it's well
sure
worth
I've got
at
the
least
Orange
trying.
Box collection like deep in my digital library somewhere. it's
I
within
might
there
have to
somewhere.
check
I
my
think.
DMs. I might have received a DM related to the Orange Box. I don't know. I might have heard something. But I'd have to check. I don't want to just say anything without checking first. But now that you mentioned the Orange Box, I actually think I might have been told something about the Orange Box.
Oh,
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know whether it was like, I don't know. I'm trying to remember now, and this is dangerous territory because I don't like saying this stuff if I'm not checking my DMs. But I may have received some info about something to do with the Orange Box, whether it's a newer version of it or a port. I don't know. But I'm not going to say anything properly because I haven't got my DMs in front of me to check. But you saying Orange Box, it just triggered something in my brain that I think someone said something to me
You're
about
like,
the
wait a
Orange
minute.
Box.
Yeah.
I put my my episode of that out last week, and I did mention maybe they should do a remake for it, bring the graphics up to date. I'd like to see that.
Yeah, maybe add another game to it that wasn't there before. Something.
Yes.
I
Yeah.
don't know.
Quite possibly. Well,
Because when people talking about games that they thought should have been in it that weren't, or something.
Yeah, there's a lot
I
of
can't
Valve
remember.
games that they could have included in there, and that for some reason they haven't.
So what does it have? It's got Half-Life 2, Portal.
Team Fortress, Portal. Can't remember what else.
Was Portal 2 in it?
I think it might be Portal 2. Portal and Portal 2.
Now I want to look it up. Now I'm curious. Orange Box.
Yeah, if there's anyone in chat that hasn't played Half-Life 2, I'd say it's well worth at least playing once.
Yeah. Definitely.
Oh, so it's just that's it. So it's just Team Fortress 2, Portal, Half-Life Episode 2. Yeah, so it's just Half-Life basically, Portal and so there's a lot of games they could chuck in there. Interesting.
I think the Orange Box was like their first foray on putting that stuff over to the Xbox as a
Yeah,
collection.
it's a console.
Yeah.
I mean, I had the Orange Box back in the day, but I just never played Half-Life. I only played it for Portal.
Yeah. And Portal was awesome, to be fair. They definitely need to do another Portal. 100%.
Portal's really good. Portal's good.
good. Really
I wasn't
good
a
fun.
massive Half-Life 2 fan, but Portal was good.
Yeah,
Cool,
definitely.
was good fun.
Nick, I want to jump into
Yes.
the history of yourself and Xbox era. Of course,
Oh, wow.
yes. For our support, for our community that aren't aware, they should be aware. To be fair, on Xbox era, they see the vast majority of leaks and hints and news about the games that they love coming from yourself and your crew.
Yeah.
But where did I want to kind of get into the history of Xbox era? How did that start? Where did you come up with that idea?
Yeah, it's it's not exactly a glamorous story or anything. It's just a lot of people may or may not know we started as an offshoot of Resetera, the forum, and at the time, I think just a lot of people weren't overly happy just trying to just chat Xbox on Resetera. It was just a thing that wasn't enjoyable to do. So I was,
Hasn't
believe it or
changed
I
much.
was in a group. Sorry?
Hasn't changed much.
No, it has not. If anything, it's gotten worse. And at the time, there was a bunch of us in a group Twitter DM, as strange as that sounds. And I'm not going to lie, we used to complain a lot about trying to talk Xbox on Resetera. And one of the guys in there was like, oh, let's try this Discord thing. Because none of us had used Discord back then. So one of the guys was like, let's try this Discord thing. So he set up a Discord. That was like January 2018. And at the start, there was only like 10 of us in there. And the Discord slowly grew with more and more people that were disgruntled Resetera users. And it grew and grew and grew. And I don't know how this happened. I'll be honest, I do not know how it happened because it's now like 4 years ago. But we slowly started getting like developers and stuff like that in there. And I don't even know how that started. I think a lot of them just came from Resetera.
Yeah.
But then we started getting developers and industry people outside of Resetera in there, which was really weird. And I sort of weirdly discovered that I have this weird knack for annoying and harassing people, but not in an inappropriate way, to like join the Discord and all that sort of thing. And I had been talking about doing a podcast for a long time. And then one day, someone in the Discord was like, look, there's this guy who's still on the forum, but he's not in this Discord. And he's talking about doing an Xbox podcast. So I reached out, and that's John. So I reached out to John, and we said, let's start doing a podcast. And we did. And it was this was like 2019, middle of 2019. And we started doing the podcast, and we had a couple of others doing it with us. And it just sort of grew from there. John was a little bit more ambitious than me. I'm a bit lazy. John's a bit more ambitious. He's like, let's do a site. Let's do this. Let's do that. Let's do the other. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm fine just doing the podcast thing and that's it. Don't have to worry about doing any more than that. But John was like, no. Let's go all the way with it. So it was that side of it, the forum and the website and all that is a lot more John than it is me. Most of you may know John as Sicko Mechanico.
Yeah.
I was more just the podcast. I just like sitting there and talking crap, because I talk crap a lot. And slowly I like, because you mentioned before about the leaks thing. That's a funny story. I constantly see people talking about how they think I make stuff up and throw stuff at a wall. I'm not clever enough for that sort of thing. That all started, like anyone who does a podcast, and I don't think I'm speaking out of turn here. But anyone that starts a podcast these days, because there's so many of them, as you two would know.
Yeah.
And anyone who wants to start a podcast these days, it's tough because there's a lot out there. especially Xbox podcasts. Been an explosion in Xbox podcasts in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
Yep, there's a lot of them out there.
Yeah, and we started our podcast, and it's funny. I've got a little side project where I'm going back to our old episodes and adding timestamps to them because they didn't have timestamps in the old ones. So I'm watching these old episodes, and good Lord, they're terrible. They're real bad. It's funny to see that evolution and the change and all that sort of stuff.
It's
But
part of
that's a
being a
side
content creator, though. Like, with
Well, yeah, we
anything
had
like
no
that,
idea what we were doing.
Yeah. I had no idea what I was doing at first. I just made videos. There was no structure to my videos.
Oh,
like,
none at all. None at all.
Just happens over time. You form your structure over time. It's part of the evolution of any project you undertake.
Yeah, that's right. You start to get a bit more confidence in what you're doing and all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And obviously, in being a new podcast, trying to grow, you need I feel like, and maybe this is old school thinking, but you need a hook. I feel like you need a hook. You need at least one reason for someone to go, this is why I watch this show. And we tried a few different things. And I don't think much of it was working. And then one day out of nowhere, someone reached out to me, just in Discord. They reached out to me and they're like, I watched your show, I like your show. Would you be interested in like me giving you information that you can leak on your show? I'm like, okay, whatever. Okay, I didn't know who this person was. So it was like a friend of a friend, and someone put them onto me, and they were like, I'll give you info. I'm like, yeah, but why don't you just do it yourself? Why don't you be the leaker? Why go through me for? And they're like, word of warning, you're going to cop a lot of crap. Like, a lot of people are going to hate you, and they're not going to like you for the stuff you're going to say. I'm like, oh. And again, me not realizing, I was like, yeah, whatever, that's fine. I can deal with that. That's okay. So they're like, yeah, that's why I don't want to leak this stuff. Because when stuff turns out wrong, when stuff doesn't happen, people are going to be really mean. And I'm like, oh, that's fine. That's okay. I can handle it. So that's how it started. That was like November 2019. And if you go back and watch, I'm trying to remember which episode it is. It's one of our earliest episodes. If you go back and watch an early episode, because most people have only kind of been following me the last year or so.
Yeah.
If you go back and watch one of our earliest episodes, I think it's the first episode of December 2019. It's my very first leak, whatever you want to call it. And it's not a rumor mill or anything. It's just a thing that I sort of drop quietly through the show where I talk about Resident Evil 3's multiplayer. Before it was known, you know how Resident Evil 3, the remake, it had that multiplayer tech test?
Yes.
Yeah.
And at the time, no one knew that was part of Resident Evil 3 remake. So I was like, oh, wouldn't that be funny if this was like Resident Evil 3's multiplayer? Wouldn't that be funny? And they were just dropping it under our nose all this time. And it turned out that it was Resident Evil 3's multiplayer. That was like the first, I guess, thing that I leaked. No one knew because we had no following. I had no Twitter following, so no one knew. It was just this thing that I dropped. And then just slowly over time, this person just kept giving me little nuggets and all these little things, and it just built up slowly from there. And then others started coming to me. And that's why I started using that analogy where I'm just the dummy and they're all the ventriloquists. They just, because again, none of them want to be known. None of them want the spotlight. They don't want the good part, but then they also don't want the bad part that comes with it. And all these people just started reaching out to me and telling me stuff. And that was it. That's literally all it is. And it got to the point where, as I said to you guys before, I have a OneNote. I have like a Microsoft OneNote thing that's just full of all the stuff I get given because it's just, there's so much of it and it's overwhelming and I forget. I'm old. I'm nearly 42 years old. I'm really old and I legitimately forget stuff. You could tell me something today and I will forget it tomorrow. So when I get this stuff, I quickly like take a screenshot and like throw it into the OneNote because I'm going to forget. I'm 100% going to forget it. And obviously once the leaking stuff got attention, that sort of where it grew. So I guess that became our hook that we were sort of looking for. But then from there, I started working on getting guests for the show.
Yeah.
So a lot of them came from our industry people in the Discord. Like in our 5th episode, we had Adam Icegreen from World's Edge because he's in our Discord. But that was like really, really early on. And then we had Thomas Mahler from Moon, Thomas Sala, who developed the Falconeer.
Yeah.
But, John and I had said, like, from very early days, I said to him, look, the end goal here is to get Phil on. We had said that like 2.5 years ago. I'm like, I don't care what it takes. I don't care how much I have to harass him. I don't care how much I have to stalk him. I'm going to get Phil on the show.
And you managed it.
Now, I didn't expect it that quick, but I'll take it. But it's just funny. Like, I said on the episode that like the whole story is so weird. Like, I'm like, how do I get in touch with Phil Spencer? I'm like, I don't even know how you do that. If you don't work at Microsoft, if you don't know, like I had, because his DMs aren't open on Twitter.
Yeah.
And I'm like, God, how do I get in touch with Phil Spencer? Like, I can't think of a way of doing it because I don't like publicly tagging people on Twitter.
Yeah.
And looking like I don't want to publicly annoy them. I'm happy to privately annoy them, but I don't want to publicly annoy them.
Yeah.
And I'm like, how the hell do I get in touch with Phil Spencer? So I just like took a long shot and DM'd him on Xbox Live. And he replied. He actually replied on Xbox Live. I'm like, wow. I'm like, this is really weird. And I think over time, back and forth on Xbox Live, I got him into the Discord.
Nice.
And then that's how I then managed to eventually get him on the podcast.
That's awesome.
Oh, man. Oh, I had another weird moment like that with Ed Freeze. I don't know if you saw, we had Ed Freeze on our show yesterday.
Yeah.
And again, it was one of those weird things where I was just shocked at how accessible he was and like how quickly he was replying to me, and like to the point where I thought it wasn't the real him. I'm like, there's no way knowing someone this important just replies on Twitter so easily. I'm like, there's just no way. This guy's like has to be an imposter. And like literally right up, we all in Streamlabs, we all sit in the booth before the show and all that sort of stuff. So we were all in Streamlabs about half an hour before the show's going live. And I'm still like, I don't think this is the real guy. I don't reckon he's going to show. Like, I was still super nervous he wasn't going to show. I'm like, because we've already tweeted out that we've got Ed Freeze on and blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, man, I don't think this guy's going to show. Like, I refuse to believe that it was this. And I don't like using the word easy, but I refuse to believe it was this smooth to just get him on. Like, the path was so smooth. And then all of a sudden he popped in like 10 minutes early, and I'm like, oh my God, it really is you. And that was you replying to me in Twitter all those times. It was just, don't get me wrong, it was a great moment. Ed Freeze is amazing. Like, he told some unbelievable stories that no one, I don't think, had heard before. Like the one about Supergiant Games and how during the pandemic their office was broken into. And I'm like, what? I'm like, no one knows that. Where the hell did that story come from? Some unbelievable. Oh, he said like they were literally watching it live on camera because they have security cameras, and they were like watching it live, watching people break into their office. I'm like, what the hell is this? It was just, oh man. But that's a little bit of a tangent. But basically, yeah, that's it. So now that's my thing. Now I try and get different guests on the show, whoever I can get. Like we're still not in a position to just pick and choose our guests. Like we're not IGN, we're not Kind of Funny, we're not, whoever.
Yeah.
We'll take whoever we can get. And I don't mean that in a disrespectful way to our guests. It's more a case of we're not big guys. We're like everyone else who's trying. So we're just not in a position to be, oh yeah, we'll just have this person and we'll have this person and they'll just do it. With every single guest I have, I worry that they're not going to show. That's just a me thing. But yeah, so now that's the thing. I still obviously have the leak stuff, but it's a bit of a, I guess, not a project as such, but a thing of mine where I just like to get guests for the show that I think will be, or I hope will be interesting to listen to.
Yeah.
And I thought Ed Freeze was one of those. I thought he was great.
Tell you who's funny to get on, and it usually comes as a bunch. It's AJ from Delilah Studios. Have you had AJ on yet?
For
no. Battletoads. They are a funny bunch.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
You hit him up. He's always dead open to conversation, and he's got such a creative mind. Like, we went on for literal random tangents through the podcast when we had him on about some drunk fish detective dating simulator game that they were just creating on the spot. Yeah. And like the studio head / HR manager that was there as well was just like, this is what I have to deal with every day. Like, these just create these random things that will never fly.
Where are Delilah based again?
In the UK.
It is the UK, isn't it? Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah.
The guys from Delilah. Okay. I mean, I thought Johnny Galvatron was pretty funny. The developer of the Artful Escape.
Yes.
And he's from Melbourne.
That game is brilliant.
Oh yeah, unbelievable. And he's from Melbourne. He only lives like 25 minutes from me. And then it turned out that my sister-in-law knows someone on his dev team and all this other stuff. So I thought, it's a guy from Melbourne. Hopefully I can get in touch with him. And Johnny's really cool. We still chat on Discord even before and after the show. We caught up for a coffee because, again, we're both in Melbourne. So caught up for a coffee with him. Freaked out seeing him without his Rockstar glasses, because if you notice, anytime you've seen him doing interviews or any kind of press, anything, he's always wearing those sunglasses. So it freaked me out to see him without his sunglasses. He told me some super cool stories, stuff I cannot repeat. And yeah, he was great. And they won their BAFTA as well recently for visual artistic direction in the Artful Escape.
Yeah.
And it's funny, I sent him a DM on Discord. I'm like, congratulations on the award, well deserved, that's great, blah, blah, blah. And then, like, I think half a day later, he replied, he's like, thanks, man, I'm hungover as. And I was like, oh my God. And that's the sort of guy he is. He's very, very funny. But yeah, no, it's funny. A lot of developers surprise you. Like when you get them on a show or whatever, as you discovered with AJ, some of them surprise you with how, I guess, interesting they are to talk to, or how funny they are, or how personable they are. It's good. And it's good for a show. Like when you get
from Thomas Salah.
Yeah, when you get someone like that on, it's great.
I would say we both know from Thomas Salah because he's a character. Thomas is such a cool guy.
Oh yeah, Thomas Salah, my God, yes. The first time we had him on, I think it was one of his first podcast appearances, so he was a bit funny about it.
Yeah.
But after, like, I think we got him on, we did a stream, because, like, XboxEra, and again, I don't know if it's something we intentionally did, but it just felt something that we organically, because that's like the word of the month at the moment, it's sort of this organic thing that just happened where we like to sort of spotlight indie games. Like and again, we don't pick and choose intentionally, it just sort of happens. Like we sort of, Falconeer became like our game, for want of a better phrase. And we sort of really wanted to help Thomas, and we did a live stream promotion thing with him, and we got him on the podcast when it launched on PlayStation and Switch as well, so that he could talk about it again for PlayStation, because I know we're Xboxera, but whatever, man, it's all games, who cares?
I still need to get around to playing that.
Falconeer, for a game developed by ostensibly one man, unreal.
Yeah.
It's a really cool game, and there aren't many games like that anymore.
Yeah, you're right.
which I think is why it's good to support stuff like that, because there's just not a lot of games like that. But yeah, Thomas Sala, and then there was Artful Escape, and now I've been talking to the guys that I don't know how big his team is. I don't think there's many of them. They've made, because it's out on Steam and has been on Steam for a while, called Hypercharge.
Yes, yeah.
Unboxed, which is like
Yeah,
the
that's,
basic first-person shooter Toy Story.
Yeah. That game looks crazy.
Yeah. He gave me a bunch of Steam codes. So I gave one to one of our team to review it, and they reviewed it on Steam. I was like, yeah, we'll do a review. He gave me some codes to give away, so we gave a couple of codes away. I kept one for myself as well. And I said to them, I said, because it looks like they're building towards doing an Xbox release.
Oh, they really want Xbox, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's happening.
Yeah.
I don't know officially yet, but I've got a funny feeling it's happening. But I said to him, if you guys end up doing an Xbox release, or if you want, just come and jump on our show, talk about the game, blah, blah. It's a really cool, fun game.
Yeah.
So I've been talking to those guys, and I don't know, again, it's just something we sort of organically leaned into, sort of focusing on indie games. We review a lot of games that don't tend to get reviewed.
Yeah.
And it's funny, a lot of those reviews are our most viewed because no one can find a review on them.
Yeah.
So in a lot of cases, our review is the only one out there. So it gets a ton of views because people are like, oh, this game looks interesting. I'll see if there's reviews. Ours is the only one that pops up. So it gets a ton of views for these games. Again, wasn't something intentional. It just kind of, I guess, happened that way. Jesse, who does, I don't know where he finds the time, but Jesse does almost all of our reviews. No idea where he finds the time to do it all. But he does a really good job. I think the last review I did was I think it was the Artful Escape. I think it was the last game I reviewed. And it was only because I was in touch with Johnny and he gave me a code. And I was it was such an amazing game though. But yeah.
Well, it's a great game. I gave it a must play in my review of the Salts video.
Just everything about it. I know it's not, I understand that by a lot of gamer standards, it's not much of a game.
Yeah.
It's not really much of a video gamey thing. It's the experience more than anything.
Yeah, that's right. It's an experience. That's what it is. And I love that doesn't outstay its welcome. It's a good length for what it is anyway. Yeah. Visually, still probably one of the best looking games I've ever seen.
Oh yeah, and the art style was amazing.
That's across the board. That includes all your big AAA stuff. To me, that is one of the best looking games I've ever seen. And I'm sure a part of I said to him, I'm man, I was in a DM with him, and I'm man, a lot of this stuff almost looks ray traced. It's not ray traced, is it? He's no, it's not. But when you're on a 2D plane and you have a certain art style, it's a lot easier to get really good
lighting,
screen space reflections and stuff like that, and have them look real good because you don't have a 3D camera that you got to consider.
Yeah.
And I'm man, some of that stuff just looks the reflections of certain surfaces and stuff like that just looks unbelievable.
It's a beautiful looking game. The soundtrack's amazing as well.
Johnny recorded basically all of it. He's got hours and hours and hours of guitar riffing that never got used in the game.
I think when I first loaded the game up, I just sat there and listened to that one folk type song that's playing at the beginning, and I listened to the whole thing all the way through before I even started the game. It was just amazing.
Unbelievable. He wrote all of it and played all of it for the game, and there's so much of it that didn't get used. I reckon I've gone off on 73 tangents. But yeah, that's the story in a little bit more than a nutshell. I want to say a nutshell, but that went on way too long for it to be just a nutshell. But yeah, that's basically the story, and I hope I didn't forget too much of XboxEra, and here we are today.
Yes, yes, indeed. And of course, now you've got your hardback book, which
Yes,
you
the book.
launched.
See, I
which
told
was
you I'd
awesome.
forget something. Thanks for reminding me.
Which was awesome. Obviously, you kickstarted that, and that just went so well. So congrats
Did.
on that as well.
Yeah.
Did really well.
Yeah, we've still got a lot of work to do on that.
Yeah. And of course, you surpassed your 100 episodes not long ago and managed to get your Phil Spencer on. Even if it
Yes.
was 15 minutes, it was an awesome 15 minutes that you had with him.
Yeah, we didn't have him for long. I think I'm partially to blame for why we didn't have him on long. Just because again, like I annoy people a lot and I harass people a lot, and I think we don't know officially, but I think I may be responsible for why we only had him for 15 minutes.
Oh.
But we'll take it. It's better than not having him on at all. But hopefully we can get him on again and have him on a little bit longer next time. But we were happy with the time we had.
Yeah.
He was good. He's a genuinely nice guy. Like, he was happy. Like, we were having a chat with him in StreamYard before the show started. And, yeah, he was cool.
I've heard some amazing stories about Phil, just like playing Destiny 2 and hopping into a party with people, or just
Yep.
responding to people's messages over Xbox. It's amazing to see.
Yeah. He seems like, I reckon the moment, because I think I had heard this story before, but I couldn't remember if it was this one or another variant of it. But Ed Freeze was telling us a story yesterday that when he was leaving Microsoft in 2004, he was one of the heads of Xbox or head of Xbox Games or first party or something. And when he announced he was leaving, you know, a young Phil Spencer, he said, went up to him and was like, should I leave too? Like, do you want me to leave with you? And I think that was, that's just to me, but to me, that said a lot about Phil himself. He just, I don't know, like when we see him on stage and we see him in interviews, he seems like a nice enough guy, but you don't know whether they're putting on a little bit of an act for the cameras or not.
Yeah.
But from our time interacting with him, and when you talk to like when I talk to developers, they talk about how unbelievable he is and how nice he is. And like I've only ever heard good things about him. My interactions with him have all been really good. And you only ever hear good things about him from people. Like, I don't hear any of those backroom underground stories where they're secretly a bit of a dickhead or whatever it is. Like, you only hear good stuff about him. And it makes me think, like, it's going to be very, very interesting to see who he's replaced with when he chooses to leave.
I think it's going to be Sarah Bond.
Same.
I do too. I think Sarah's the right choice personally.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's Microsoft. Like, have you seen, like, the Xbox executive structure now?
Yeah. It's insane.
It's like 15 of them or something. Like, there's Phil, and then there's like 10 or 15 of them underneath him, and it could be any of them. I mean, and again, we're talking about Microsoft. They could even pluck someone external
Yeah.
to replace him for all we know. But like yourself, I think Sarah's the right person.
Yeah, I definitely think that as well.
Yeah, and just, again, of stuff I've heard about Sarah, and I'm like, yep, she's the one. Like, she needs to be the one that takes over. So I hope, but I mean, look, that might be many, many years away. I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, I don't think it's going to be too far away, to be honest, because obviously now Phil's new title is head of Microsoft Gaming, so he's got a bigger mantra now to go to operate as opposed to just Xbox.
Yeah, not only that though. I reckon if it wasn't for all these recent acquisitions, I reckon he may have already left by now. Like, I have a sneaking suspicion that a lot of these acquisitions, part of it, especially Bethesda, I think some of these acquisitions were contingent on him hanging around.
Yeah.
For a bit longer.
Definitely Bethesda. 100%.
Bethesda, 100%. I fully would have expected Todd Howard to be like, yeah, you have to hang around. Like, if this is happening, you need to hang around for a bit longer. Because I have a sneaking suspicion Phil was probably like, okay, I'm going to fix the mess from 2013, get all our ducks in a row, set the path for the future, and then someone else can take over. But then I reckon when they started doing all the acquisitions, a lot of these studio heads were like, well, if we're coming on board, you're staying on board. I would not be surprised if that was the case.
Yeah.
Which is probably why he's still
around.
Because it seems like a lot of the people under him share similar ideas and vision. So you think, well, if he wants to go, he can go, because like all the people under him seem like they're going to do a similar job, or at least keep following on the similar pathway. So why is he still hanging around?
Yeah,
maybe that's what he was asked to do.
Yeah,
I think he could probably see this console generation out, and then someone take his job. Well, not take his job, but fill that void.
He'll be pushing on a bit of an age by the time this generation finishes as well, to be honest. Because I mean, we're talking. I still think it's at least got another 6-7 years to go this gen, at least. I think it's been pushed little. I think it's been pushed a little bit further because of the last 2 years. I think if it wasn't for the last 2 years and some of the setbacks we've had with some of the games, and some of the tools that have been set back because of it, and the working from home and all that, I think because of that, it's potentially elongated the generation a little bit.
Everyone says that, but I'm like, they've still sold just as many, if not more, consoles than previous generations. So it's not like they're behind in console sales because of all this.
Yeah.
Like, that's the weirdest part. Like, we keep hearing about a console shortage, and yet they've sold more consoles than previous generations, or they're tracking similarly at least to a time when there was no shortage. So it's like, a part of me feels like there's, I don't want to use the term artificial demand, but any human knows when you hear something is hard to get a hold of, what do you want to do?
You want it more?
What's the one thing you want to do?
Buy it.
You want to get a hold of it.
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of people, I feel like a lot of people are partially buying these consoles just because they're hard to get. And that's why they want them, because they're just super, super hard to get. Because think about it. Everything is still coming out on Xbox One and PS4, or has been up until this point. So why the desperation for the new console?
I think a lot of it is like the fear of missing out, that you're not going to be able to get the console.
That's right.
So
it's super hard. It was like Amiibos. Remember when Amiibos first came out and you couldn't get them? So everyone wanted Amiibos. Like, oh my God, got to have Amiibos. They're like the greatest thing ever. And then Nintendo flooded the market with them after a while, and all of a sudden no one wanted Amiibos anymore.
Yeah.
It's like, oh yeah, whatever. Who cares about Amiibos now? They're not that hard to get anymore, whatever. Who cares? It's just, I feel like that's partially responsible for why these consoles just continue to disappear as soon as they hit shelves.
Oh, 100%.
Because it's just, it's a weird, I don't know, it's a weird contradiction that we keep hearing about chip shortages and can't buy a console, and yet you see the sales numbers and they're like matching last gen. So it's like, so what's the shortage then? You're making as many as you made last generation when there was no COVID. So is there a shortage? Or is there just this weird over demand being created by everyone continually saying chip shortage, can't get consoles.
Yeah,
because
so
they're
they
making just as many as they made last gen.
Yeah, I mean, we saw how much like in demand technology was during like the bad point in the pandemic. Everyone was buying up everything entertainment wise to keep themselves entertained at home. So
yeah, that's exactly right. They just wanted to buy stuff. They didn't care why. Like, even I did it. Like, I bought like 2 TVs during the pandemic. Hadn't bought a TV in like a decade. All of a sudden during the pandemic, I've bought 2 brand new TVs, an OLED and another one for my living room. I bought the Surface that I'm doing this podcast on right now. I bought iPads, but I bought more stuff. I spent more money during the 2 years of the pandemic than I have in the longest time.
Yep, this entire podcasting setup.
Yeah,
the laptop, the screen, the camera, the lights, everything to go with it. The desk. None of it was around before that. It's insane.
That's right. So I just wonder how much of it is that.
Yeah.
Like, I feel like a lot of people just want it because they want it. It's new and it's hard to get, so they want it.
Yeah.
Like, I feel if we weren't hearing about these constant shortages, then I don't think the demand would be as fervent as it is.
Yeah. I think
And
for
then
me,
you got
it's more
people's
the...
friends that buy it, and then they see that
Yeah.
their friends are buying new stuff, and they're like, I want a piece of that.
Yeah, yeah.
So they go out and buy something new.
I think
Yeah.
for me, it's more...
I get phone calls.
I was just going to say, for
sorry.
me, it's more just the software side of things. I think with things getting pushed back further, like, obviously we know, like, last year's games are coming out this year, this year's games are coming out next year. The whole knock-on effect thing where they're going to end up with a pile of games that they can't just release all at once, because then that's going to, it's going to be an overcrowded space, so they're going to have to push it out till the year after. Just by necessity than anything else. Otherwise, they're gonna end up killing one of the games that they don't necessarily want to kill, because it's gonna come out at the same time as another game that everybody wants to play.
Yeah. I think also the fact that maybe because this has been the first generation in a while where the consoles haven't basically released underpowered. Like the last time we had a generation where the consoles were pretty genuinely powerful for their time was Gen 5, I want to say, which was the generation with Xbox, PlayStation 2, Dreamcast, GameCube.
That was Gen 5, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think it was Gen 5. That was the last time we had a generation where the consoles didn't just release underpowered.
Yeah.
Like, they were quite powerful for their time and could more than handle themselves against PCs of the time.
Well, yeah, Xbox...
That was the last time.
Specifically marketed it as a PC for the living room, and PlayStation were doing the same thing. PlayStation were trying to take over the PC.
The Xbox bloody was.
Yeah.
It had an Intel CPU in it and an NVIDIA dedicated GPU in it. It was just an absolute... They just took a PC and crammed it into a console case. That thing was nuts. But even the GameCube, that was the last time Nintendo went out of their way to make a powerful console.
Yeah.
And
I love the GameCube.
Oh, unbelievable console. And that thing could hold its own. There are games on GameCube that still look unbelievable today.
Oh, yeah.
The Resident Evil remake still looks brilliant to this day, and that was originally out on the GameCube, I think. Was it?
Resident
Evil remake?
The remake of the first one?
Yeah.
I think
one.
It was. I
I
reckon
think it launched on GameCube.
I mean, Resident Evil 4 launched on the GameCube. But yeah, so I think that also might be a reason why this generation could last a little bit longer, because we do have pretty genuinely powerful consoles comparatively to previous generations.
Yeah.
So that could be another reason. Like, it'll be interesting. It'll be interesting to see. Like, I'm curious as to whether we get mid-gen refreshes. I'm curious as to whether we get
I think
Slims.
Xbox specifically have said they're going to be a bit flexible on that, so that they're not saying we're definitely doing one, but we're also not ruling it out. Like, we've got ideas.
Yeah. Well, I mean, we keep hearing about chip shortages. So are they going to bother with Slims? Are they going to bother with all that sort of stuff? Like, if they're allegedly struggling to make enough consoles to satisfy demand as it is, where are they going to suddenly pull a Slim or a mid-gen refresh from?
Yeah.
It's just... I mean, look, I was surprised. I mean, I say I was surprised. At the same time, I shouldn't have been. I was surprised they managed to do the Halo limited edition console.
Yep, same. I was surprised at that. So lucky that I got a hold of one.
Yeah, so did I. But then, of course, you know, there was the chip priority thing, and that suddenly made a little bit more sense. Like, they obviously went out of their way to find a way to make more consoles than they normally would have been able to. So it made sense. But that sort of stuff doesn't last forever. So I'm just curious as to whether we'll see Slims and mid-gen refreshes to sort of make that generation last a little bit longer. But these consoles might be powerful enough to not need it.
Yeah.
So it's going to be very interesting to see over the next 2 or 3 years.
Do you think we'll see a limited edition version of Starfield console, maybe?
Ooh, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean, I could be wrong, but I reckon it's one of those things. I mean, I've said on our show, I think Starfield will be huge. And then I got myself in trouble on Twitter, apparently, for not understanding how you can be a Starfield fan when the game doesn't exist yet.
I've seen that.
And
If
people
it's
were
the first game, we
conflating.
know it's going to be huge.
Oh, I still, like, I have zero interest in Starfield. I'm not interested at all in a big, massive game that's going to take 200 hours to complete and blah, 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 blah. I've never actually, outside of Doom, I don't really play Bethesda's games at all outside of Doom.
I fully understand that, though, because those
Wolfenstein
type
for
of
me.
games can be intimidating to some people that
Yeah.
don't really feel the want to spend 200 plus hours in a game
Yeah.
to complete it all the way through from start
Yeah.
to finish with side missions.
So, but having said that, despite having no interest in the game, I still think it's going to be a huge. I don't know. I've just got this feeling it's going to be like the next big thing.
Definitely, yeah.
That's just how it comes across to me. But I don't. I reckon if we weren't in the current climate we were in, for sure, they'd do a console because they've done it in the past, even for newer games. But I do wonder if they're going to hold off, see how big it becomes, and then maybe when the sequel comes along, or maybe they'll start with a controller. They love doing the controllers.
Possibly, yeah. Like maybe a Elite Series 2,
Yeah, maybe an Elite Series 2 or just
like they did with the Halo one, minus
yeah.
super
I got the
ammo
Halo.
rates.
I got the Halo one as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, maybe they'll do an Elite or just a stock controller for Starfield, and then if they see the franchise explodes, then maybe the sequel gets a console. I'm just not sure with all the shortages and everything like that. I don't know if they'll do a limited edition one.
See, that's why I keep saying like
not sure.
they should make use of the fact that they've got an abundance of Series S's going out and make a limited edition Series S. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's
why not?
fine.
For sure. I'm surprised they haven't.
I know,
Like,
same. The much
it
smaller
feels like a
form
lot of
factor
missed
as well, surely.
opportunities.
It's easier.
Yeah, like how have they not done a Fortnite Series S and a Rocket League? Like, do some partnership with Epic and get a Fortnite Series S and a Rocket League Series S out there.
I definitely think they could do it because Dutch himself, he makes custom consoles. He's got a lovely Fable Series S.
Oh wow, really?
Yeah.
Have you got it to show, or is it too hard to get out?
It's currently plugged in. I know, like right here.
Ah, okay. Okay.
But yeah, I've got it
Fair
there,
enough.
and then behind us, I've got the Hellblade Senua Saga Series X there.
And you did the Sea of
wow.
Thieves one for Xbox Mic, and that was insanely amazing to see.
Yeah, I turned the vent into the Sea of Thieves skull, but it glowed in the dark.
Ah, that's cool. That's
But Ninja Theory and Rare and things, all them like retweet it and comment on it and share it out and things themselves,
that's
so they
great.
like it. So that's awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I reckon. Yeah, you're right. I reckon there's a big missed opportunity with Series S's.
Yeah.
Is
It's that accessible as well, and like you say, you use it even the littler games,
Yeah.
like you mentioned. Well, I say little. Fortnite's not little, but it's a free to play.
That's the thing. It's
that
a
would
huge
fly.
free to play. Like, I just thought it was, and I've said this before on our show, how Microsoft sometimes has these weird fumbles. Like, just there's these layups that they keep missing. Like, you announce that free to play games are going free to play, and my first thought, you're not going to need gold for them or whatever. And my first thought is, great, the Series S now becomes, this is your opportunity to turn the Series S into a Fortnite box.
Yeah.
Right? So they ended up doing a bundle, a Series S that was bundled with Fortnite credit, Rocket League credit, some skins and all that sort of stuff. But and the whole theme behind that marketing was purple. It was all purple stuff, which is my favorite color.
My favorite color.
I'm like, how did you not make a purple Series S at least? Even if you don't want to make it themed.
KSNA said in the comments here there is a purple Series S for Fortnite. I've never seen that.
I don't think the
There was
package
the
is
bundle.
purple. I think it's just a
The
standard white
packaging and
console.
everything was purple,
Yeah.
but the actual console. I mean, I bought 2 of them for my
Yeah.
kids. The packaging was purple, but the actual console itself was just a normal Series S, and it came with the built-in codes that you redeem on the console for Fortnite and Rocket League.
I know
And
they
you can
did
actually-
a purple Xbox One S.
Yeah, they did a 1S. The
Because
Fortnite
I have
1S.
that. I have that like
Yes, they did.
somewhere. Where did I put that?
Stunning looking console. Really
I
nice.
have that. I went out of my way to get
Yeah.
it because purple's my favorite color.
Yeah, purple's a great color. That's why I obviously got the Sea of Thieves controller when I did.
Yeah.
The only thing is the Sea of Thieves controller, I ended up selling it because they were just worth so much money that I
did exactly the
resist
same thing.
selling it.
I did exactly the same thing. I sold it for like 120 pound.
I sold it for like 300 Australian, and I had used the DLC code stupidly.
Yeah,
if I
so
hadn't
that.
used that DLC code, probably would have got $400 or $500 Australian for it.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. Just,
I do
man,
regret it sometimes because now
controller
I'm like,
was-
that is impossible to get a hold of. Like, it is now to the point where
Oh,
it's...
now forget it. No chance now.
Yeah.
None. Like, absolutely no chance whatsoever. But, oh well. There'll be more. They'll do. Mate, Microsoft's not going to stop doing limited edition
definitely not.
controllers. That's for sure.
Definitely not. Definitely not. I think a few people have mentioned this as well, and I think there's room for them to look into ways later on in the generation. I would think this is more of a mid-gen thing when they've got control of stock and production and everything. But to look at doing some kind of basic design labs for consoles. Like, specifically on the shells now, like, unlike previous generations, the shells themselves were a bit of a ball ache to take apart. But both the Series S and the Series X are literal 2 parts. You've got a front shell and a back on the Series X. And on the Series S, you've got a front, like a top section, and then the bottom, and that's it. They're literally just 2 plastic parts surrounding them, and that's it.
Yeah.
So it's really,
And they're
really
both
easy.
perfect canvases for customizing.
Yeah.
I've seen so many different designs, and yourself, you make some amazing designs, Dutch.
I wonder if that's why Sony designed the PS5 the way they did,
With the plates.
where it's just the 2 plates,
Yeah.
and then, even though you can't even get those stupid plates,
Yeah.
I can't get over how hard it's just plastic. I'm like,
It's like
okay.
it's like 60 quid in the UK
Oh,
for
they're
like
expensive.
those
Oh my
plates.
god, for plastic, they're unbelievably expensive. They're 85 Australian. I'm like,
hell.
really?
For plastic.
The 360 face plates were like, I think $20, like
Yeah.
25 Australian or something at the time.
Yeah.
These things are like $85 for just 2 bits of plastic. I'm like, come
You probably could pay like maybe half the price for someone to 3D print you some plates.
The thing is, as well, with the
just
face
spray
plates,
the white ones.
with the 360 face plates, you used to be able to get the face plates, and then in some stores, you used to be able to get the skin that went over the console itself as well. So you could actually have a skin that matched the face plate. Which was
I had a
even
few of
better.
them Xbox 360 plates. I had a Gears of War
I
one.
had so many. Oh,
One of the Final Fantasy ones I had.
Yes,
'cause,
Final Fantasy
It came
13.
with a bundle.
I didn't know there was a Final Fantasy one.
Yeah.
Yeah, it came with a bundle, I think. The console was just a standard console. You got the extra
Oh, right.
plate with it. Lost Planet one. That Lost Planet.
Limited edition
first one was amazing.
360s, there was an obscene amount of them. Like, over the course of that generation, I reckon I must have owned and sold or owned and kept about 10 360s. And, like, I had the Modern Warfare 2 one, which was that all-black one, and I had the Modern Warfare front. I had the Resident Evil 5 one, which was just a red console. It was a straight-up red 360. There was no decals on it. There was no anything. It was just red. And that was the Resident Evil 5 one. I had the Star Wars 360S, the one that looked like R2-D2 with the C-3PO
That's such a cool looking console.
Oh, I mean, aesthetically, it was a bit ugly.
Yeah.
But it was a cool console in concept and everything they did with it. I had the Halo 4 360S. I've still got the Halo Reach 360S because that's by far the most beautiful of all the 360s. So in how minimal it is and how nice it is. I
wish I had that console.
Sorry?
I wish I had that console because Halo Reach is probably my favorite Halo game.
Oh, really? Look, I've got the
story,
Reach one.
like desperation in the story is amazing.
My favorite part of it's the last part where it's you and you're lasting as long as you can. That's my favorite
love that part.
But I used to collect the Halo consoles specifically. So I had the translucent green OG Xbox, the Halo one. Halo 2 was the only console to not get one officially. I think like a couple of countries may have had just a variant on the clear green one, and then they called that the Halo 2 console, but it never really got one Halo 2 for some weird reason. It got a controller, just not a console, strangely. Got the Halo 3, got the Halo 4, got the Halo 5, Xbox One.
The thing I like
I got
about...
all of them, and then I ended up selling them all last year. I've got no room in my house for all this stuff, so I ended up selling them all. But
I was the same. I had loads of Halo stuff, and I just sold it because I was sick of it gathering dust. And I was like,
yeah, that's what happens.
To keep cleaning this.
Yeah, that's the problem. Like as much as you want to keep it, your space is finite. Like you can't just keep stockpiling this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's heartbreaking to let go of, but what do? You can't just keep it all as much as you want to. You can't keep
I do regret selling it because I had the Halo 3 Legendary with the Master Chief helmet.
Yeah, me too. And the Reach one. I had the Reach one too.
Yeah, I had all that. Every time they brought a Legendary edition out, I got it.
Yep.
I just got sick of cleaning it. I was like, I can't be bothered to keep doing this. So I just
like how they bring out
sounds exactly like me.
The sounds for the turning on and off of the console as well. That's something that no one else has done. That they've added a limited edition.
Yeah, you're right.
However, the Halo limited edition Series X turn on sound is neither here nor there. Like
it's so quiet.
The Series X Halo one, it doesn't really sound like much compared to for instance, like you mentioned the R2D2 Star Wars one. That was cool. That was noticeable. The Forza one with the rev of the engine, that was awesome.
Oh,
the Gears of War one with the chainsaw, that was awesome.
Yeah. I had the Gears 1S and 1X. I never got the 360 that they made.
Yeah.
But I did have the Gears 1S and 1X, and they were both gorgeous consoles. Yeah. They were that white Gears 1X was just next level. It had scratches and like ice, and you could see through the ice, and just
I got
cracks and
controller that looks similar to it. They sold separately. I never got the console though. The Gears 5 cake controller, the white sort of controller with the scratches on it.
Yes. Did you get the Gears Elite?
I didn't. I missed out on it.
Ooh, that's the one everyone should have got. You know how much those controllers are worth right now?
Yeah, a lot.
Easily the most expensive controller to try and buy right now.
Yeah,
easily.
Well, the only Elite
every
controller
Xbox controller. That thing is, and I'm so upset I never bought it. I was going to buy it, but I'm like, it's a little bit ugly. I've already got a normal Elite. I don't need this controller. I'm not going to bother. Man,
I did want it.
I wish I had bought it.
And I never owned an Elite controller until I got the Halo Infinite one, the Master Chief themed one.
Really?
Yeah, it's the first time I've ever owned one of them Elite Series controllers.
Yeah, you went full tilt and got all
I wanted the Gears
all of the
one,
Halo
but
Infinite stuff.
I wanted the Gears one, but I never bothered with it. And then I was like, I'm not making the same mistake with this one. So I had to get it.
No, the Elite, I can't go back to normal controllers. They're just... Once you've had the paddles and all that sort of stuff, I struggle now on normal. I wish Sony would do it. Like, I want Sony to do... Even if they just release that back paddle accessory that they did for the DualShock 4.
Yeah.
Even if it's something like that, I don't care. Because I don't think Sony will do an official Elite controller.
Nah.
and I don't like buying third party. Like I've seen the Scuff one. There's a Scuff DualSense.
Isn't that like the best part of 300 like Australian or something?
I'm not sure. I haven't even looked into the price. I just saw the thing.
I think it's about 200. It's about $200 for the base one, and about $250 or something for the elite level Scuff controller.
There's two of them.
Yeah.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I don't think Sony will ever do an Elite, but I'd be happy if they could at least do that back paddle attachment thing for the DualSense. I can't play without paddles anymore. I just need them.
I'm toying with the idea of getting another Elite series just because I don't want the Halo one to get worn out.
Mine's not open. Mine is still sealed.
Oh no, mine's used. Mine's well used.
My Elite 2 has completely fallen apart. I'm kind of disappointed in how they're built.
Yeah.
So I'm waiting now for that rumored white one to come out.
Yeah.
Because let's be real, that's going to happen. Like someone has taken photos of the thing.
Yeah.
So I'm assuming that's going to be like an E3 drop, I guess.
Yeah.
Because otherwise, what are they doing just sitting there? All those Elite controllers. So I'm waiting for that white one because one thing I noticed about all my controllers, I don't know if you can see them in the background there, I have a lot of white and black two-tone controllers. So I'm like, I may as well wait for the Elite that's white and black and just complete the collection. Because I've got the Smash Brothers Pro controller, which is black and white. Obviously, the DualSense is that two-tone black and white. So I'm like, may as well get that black and white Elite controller and have them all match. But yeah, oh look, Geordie's in the chat.
Yeah,
Elite controller build quality sucks. Kind of does. I'm a bit
I've been
disappointed.
really lucky with mine. Like I obviously modify them all the time. So the only time they break for me is when I break them.
Is when you break them.
And I've broken what the problem with these as well is the thumbsticks aren't are not easy to take apart for modifying. Obviously you can do that, but because it's threaded on as opposed to just stuck on like the previous one. Obviously, because now you've got the.
Are you talking about that top bit?
Yeah, so now you've got the adjustable thumbstick for tensioning.
Yeah.
Because of that, it's underneath. It's actually threaded onto the actual thumbstick itself.
Oh,
so you have to unscrew the thumbstick to take it off, as opposed to any other one. But it's like the initial taking off of the thumbstick. It is almost as if it's welded on. Like they've got it so tight.
Oh.
That trying to take it apart can potentially break it. So, like, I did a disassembly video, which is like 12,000, 13,000 views or something now. And the one main question that you always get on there is, I am so scared I'm going to break the thumbstick because it's really tight. I'm like, just be gentle. It will loosen up. But yeah, it is. The one thing I'm glad they did is the wraparound. I mean, obviously, we still know they've always had issues with the triggers and the bumpers. This time around, I think they had issues with some of the buttons sticking as well. On
Yes,
the ABX
the
line.
A button.
Yeah. But I'm glad they sorted out the
I've
rubber.
never had a problem with a bumper ever. I keep hearing that's the one I hear about
That's
the most.
Main fix
when
that
I hear
always
people having
the main fix that I fix for people is the bumpers and the triggers.
Yeah, I have literally never had a single bumper go on me on an Xbox controller. And I keep hearing about all these bumper problems. I'm like, man, I must just be like the luckiest guy on earth. I've never had a bumper problem. Like my Elite 2 has everything else go wrong with it except the bumpers. Like the grips are starting to come apart. There's a rattle inside. There's a screw loose in there somewhere. I've lost... Now... You both have Elite 2s there in front of you. Mm-hmm. Those switches, you know the switches where you can adjust the trigger and how where the trigger stops?
Yeah.
These little things.
Those little levers at the back that you adjust.
The little rubber bits that fall off.
They're actually caps that come off. Which I did not know.
Yeah, I lost one of them.
I've lost both of mine. So they're gone. I've got the rattle. The connection at the bottom is screwed.
Yeah.
Like the actual connection at the bottom where you connect accessories and stuff is screwed on mine. Like when I plug in my chat pad, it works for 3 seconds and then stops. And I thought it was my chat pad, but I put my chat pad into other controllers, works just fine. So my Elite is like, it's crawling to the finish line. And I'm just waiting for that white one to come out because I don't want to buy another black one. I want to get that two-tone black-white one. I don't want just the standard one. And I don't want to touch my Halo one. I don't want to use the Halo one. So
I kind of wish I didn't open mine, to be honest.
Look, I feel you. Like there's nothing, like when you're a bit of a collector, which I'm less of now, and that's part of the reason why. When you're a bit of a collector, that feeling of, I wish I hadn't opened this thing, it never leaves you. And it eats away at you until you buy another one and leave it sealed. It's like the worst feeling in the world because it just eats away at you. It's
if I can source another one of them Halo ones, I will be getting it just to keep it in the box.
Because you can't get them from retailers anymore, can you?
Nope.
No, I don't believe so.
Yeah, it means you're going to have to overpay on eBay.
That's the only thing I'm upset about is the fact that I did sell the Sea of Thieves controller. Like at the time I was like, it's just sitting there. Like I'm moving to the next generation. Like all the controllers I'm getting are going to be the new style. I don't need these older ones, so I'm just going to get rid. And then I got rid of it, and like a couple of weeks later I was like, I really wish I still just kept that.
Yeah, me too. I kept my Titanfall one.
Yeah.
I've still got the Titanfall Xbox controller, but I sold I had the Advanced Warfare one, I had the Halo 5 one, and a few others. And all I've kept now is Titanfall, the Lunar White. Do you remember that Lunar one they did? It was this one-off special edition white controller that had a gold D-pad.
Yes.
Absolutely beautiful controller. Probably one of the most stunning they've ever made. Kept that one, but the D-pad stopped working and I was gutted. So now I don't know how it works overseas, but in Australia, EB Games can actually fix your controllers. You pay like $40 or $35 and they'll fix your controller for you. So I was like, oh, I took it to them. I'm like, the D-pad's gone. I'm like, everything else on the controller's fine, but the D-pad's gone. So they fixed it, and now my Lunar White controller's perfect, and I've just packed it away now and left it there to probably never be used again. It just sits there. But yeah, they're great.
Oh, dear me. But yeah.
I need to ask you a question.
Yes.
Because we've gone off on like 1,001 tangents at the moment. And that's mostly my fault. So I apologize.
That's okay.
Because like... Was there a plan? Did I ruin plans for you to like cover the news and stuff?
Oh no, don't worry about that. This is like the weekend show is a really lax show where me and Jen just talk a lot and then kind of half cover news.
Okay. As long as I didn't screw up the plans to like talk about the news or anything, because I've realized as we've been doing this, like we've gone off on like that many tangents that it's just like probably totally off the rails.
Over the last few weeks, we've usually started the show talking about the Halo TV series. So
what's your thoughts?
We'll talk about that for
okay.
What's your thoughts?
How do you like my performance in it?
Yeah,
are you enjoying it?
You're doing good so far. Yeah, Master Chief.
Yeah,
nice
I'm doing all right.
Master Cheeks.
Yeah. Oh, look, that was a double. That's not my ass. That was a double.
There is a lot of butt in this Halo TV series. A lot of butt,
isn't there? It's full on though. Like I'm shocked at how gory it is.
Yeah.
Like, I thought it was
awesome.
That.
It took us by surprise, but I was like, oh, that's cool. Like first episode, limbs flying off, heads exploding. I was like,
yeah, and like you just see him grab a knife and stick it in his back and pop that thing out. I'm like,
I was quite surprised they did that scene with the Elite where he rips off the doors and he's going to shoot all those women and children.
Yeah.
I know they cut it to black, but like, still, everyone's got an imagination. They can imagine what's going to happen there.
I know. I was surprised because the game isn't like that.
No.
Like the game is very PG and it's very not gory. There's no blood. There's little spatters of alien blood sometimes and whatever, but like that's not a gory franchise. So I was quite taken aback when I saw people exploding and like limbs coming off, and I was like, "Whoa, this is full on." I just wasn't expecting it.
What are you making of it so far? Then have you caught up the series episode 4 or?
Yep. I think I've let go of the fact that it's not following the games.
Yeah.
So once you do that, it becomes a bit more enjoyable. But at the start, I was watching it with my wife who hasn't played the games. So, of course, the entire time she's like, is that in the game? Is that in the game? Is that in the game? I'm like, none of this is in the game. I'm like, it's not following the game at all. Like, the chief does not take his helmet off. Never does. Like, that's part of his mystery. That's part of his aura, is that no one knows who the hell he is, that he doesn't take his helmet off.
I will say they seem to be having like the chief's helmet off too much.
All the time. Now it never comes back on. Like,
he puts it on for like
4.
2 seconds just to drive down the road.
Yeah,
takes it off again.
That's what I was about to say. He's like, he puts the helmet on. It's like, this is it. It's time. Puts the helmet on. They go for a drive down the road. Okay, helmet comes off. I'm like, why did you put it on just to drive down the road? Just leave it off, dude. It's okay. You don't need it. And then he put it back on again when he jumped in the house, because obviously Cortana was trying to give him the view of everything in the house and whatever. That's fine. Like I said, if you divorce it from the games, it's fine. But if you're trying to watch it, wanting it to follow the games, then yeah, you're probably going to hate its guts. But I think it's fine as it is. It's okay.
I do think there's too many storylines going on. Like, you got the story of the Master Chief figuring out who he is and all that, and then you've got like the political stuff, and then you've got.
I'm never a big fan of that in any sci-fi show.
The stuff with the Covenant, and then the fourth sort of storyline, which is the insurrectionists with Quan, and that's sort of where the show keeps losing me with all that sort of insurrectionist stuff.
A little bit. My thing is, and I know it's not following the games, but we've got the prophets. The prophets are there. Who's the woman?
No ideas.
That blonde woman.
Oh.
No ideas.
Who is that?
I don't know.
My wife's like, oh, who's that? I'm like, I don't know. She's not in the games. I have no idea who that is.
I feel like it could be their sort of replacement for maybe like an Arbiter-like character, so that
maybe
it's less expensive for them to have someone that's not animated.
A human.
So I think maybe
a
something
CG
like that.
Arbiter. Yeah, maybe. I don't know, but I had no way to explain it. Like I'm a guy who skips cutscenes, so I'm not following stuff at the best of times.
And I don't recall there being any character like that in the books or anything, so I think that's something new that they've made just for the show.
If either of you have watched our show, you'll probably know I don't read books.
Yeah, I'm the same.
I don't read many of the Halo books either, but I do like go through lore videos just to know a bit about the lore and all that.
I started Fall of Reach. That was like the last book I attempted to read. I started Fall of Reach. I remember reading some stuff about John as a kid, growing up with the other Spartan kids and some other stuff, and then I just never went back to it.
To be fair, they did that as an animated film as well, Fall of Reach.
Did they?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like a sort of animated comic style movie.
I may have to watch that.
Yeah. That's
not bad,
exactly the same. It's John as a kid going through Spartan training.
Okay. I don't mind that angle. And we're sort of seeing it now in the show.
Yeah.
Like we're getting flashes of it and all that sort of stuff in the show, which I'm okay with. Some of the other creative decisions are a bit odd. And again, it could be because I'm a cutscene skipper that doesn't pay attention to story in games. But Halsey's not Miranda's mum, is she? In the games?
Yeah.
Even in the games, she is.
Yeah. Games and the books.
Well, there you go.
Accurate.
See, there you go. There is proof that I really don't follow what's going on in the games because I skip cutscenes and stuff like that. I didn't even know that Halsey was Miranda's mum.
Yeah, because in the books, you find out that Halsey and Captain Keyes had a relationship. That's obviously where Miranda came from.
Wow, I did not know that. See, people probably don't believe me when I say I skip all the cutscenes and don't pay attention to story in games. I really don't. Like I am just there to play the games. I don't care about what story is there. I know that's odd. I'm aware that I am in the minority on that one,
Yeah, you just want the gameplay.
but I just could not care less about a story in video games.
I'm the
just couldn't
complete
care less.
opposite. I love story. Halo is what give me an appreciation for great storytelling. So
But I reckon there's an advantage to it as well, though, not caring about story in games, because I read some reviews and I see games get knocked down a point or two just because the story's not good. And I'm just like,
I fully understand that. Most people just
Like-
want to switch off when they play games. So
yeah, like to me, there are games out there that have a review score that's a bit lower because of a terrible story. But if the game is super fun to play, who cares?
Yeah.
exactly.
The game's super fun and the shooting feels great and this feels great. And so who cares if the story's not the best? It's okay. It's not a big deal.
Yeah.
But again, maybe that's just me. I'm probably in the minority on that one.
The only thing I didn't like with the I'm much with Jen. The only thing I don't like with the Halo series so far is that offshoot tangent Quan section, because that feels like a Star Wars type of thing as opposed to a Halo.
It does,
universe.
doesn't it?
Feels very
It
like
feels like they're
it's-
trying to put like a coming of age story in Halo with Quan.
it is. It just
Yeah, it
reminds
just
us of like
seems
the
a
Rogue
bit
Empire.
unnecessary, doesn't it?
Yeah, unnecessary. It's like it is like the Rogue Empire. It's like it's like
Yeah.
a mini Rogue One story, but without the triumph.
Yeah, it is a bit, isn't it?
Yeah.
And the funny thing is they've already got enough there where they
Yeah.
don't need that.
Yeah,
Like-
yeah. There's plenty
They've
of
got-
story going on already.
Yeah, they've got Chief's line. They've got the Halsey politics line. They've now got the this
Silver
that's just
team.
appeared in this
Yeah.
episode, basically. How the Spartans are starting to, like,
Get their
how do you
butts
explain
out.
it? Yeah, they're like that one that dyed her hair and she's discovering that, oh, we could be real people, whatever it is. So that's like another line. I feel like they don't need the Quan thing.
Yeah. I'm
Yeah,
exactly the same.
yeah. I think
I don't know. Maybe it's going somewhere important in later in the show. Who knows? Or season
yeah,
2.
maybe
Yeah.
if it doesn't pick up and get any better by the end of the season, I think maybe they should do less of
Ditch it.
that insurrectionist stuff in season 2.
Stitch it. It's not needed. I'm okay with Soren though. I like the idea of seeing the life of someone who left the Spartan program.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I actually don't mind that angle, and I like that actor too. Have you guys seen the movie Devil?
No.
I have not.
There's a movie called Devil. It's
He
not
was in
directed by.
Spider-Man, right? Spider-Man: Homecoming. He was the second Shocker.
Sorry.
The actor who plays Soren, he's in Spider-Man: Homecoming.
No.
I think he is.
Is he?
He's not the first Shocker that, spoiler alert for anyone that hasn't seen Spider-Man: Homecoming, that gets killed. He's the second Shocker.
Wait, there was 2 Shockers.
Yeah, basically, like you get the first one gets killed, and then Michael Keaton's Vulture gives the Shocker fist thingy to the other guy, which is the bloke who's
Oh
in
yes.
Halo.
Oh, hold on, Jesus! I got my Spider-Man movies mixed up. I'm thinking you were talking about No Way Home, and I'm like,
No,
Hold on.
Homecoming.
wasn't that Jamie Foxx? No. I got my Spider-Man movies mixed up. Homecoming. Yes, I think that is him.
The first Tom Holland
But-
movie.
If you watch the movie Devil, and I just recommend that people watch the movie Devil. It wasn't directed by Shyamalan, but it's one of those M. Night Shyamalan presents, but he didn't direct it. There was another director. And the entire I love that movie so much. The entire movie is basically set in an elevator, a broken down elevator, and there's a group of people stuck in
Actually,
this
I
elevator.
have
and
seen
one
that
of them,
film. It is a brilliant film.
One of
as
them's
well.
the devil.
Yes.
One of these people
it
stuck in the
sounds
elevator
familiar.
is the devil.
Yes.
And it's got that actor that everyone thinks looks like Tom Hardy, but it's not Tom Hardy.
Yeah.
It's like Lena Tom Hardy, you know, that actor. He's in Upgrade. And it's also got the actor that plays Sauron.
Yeah.
And if you haven't watched the movie Devil, I recommend you watch the movie Devil.
Yeah, it's cool.
It sounds
5
familiar.
people
I might have
trapped in
seen
an
it.
elevator. One of them is the devil. And slowly throughout the entire movie, they're being taken out one by one by the devil. And you're trying to figure out who this is. It's such a cool movie.
Yeah, and it's brutal as well. It's
Really
brutal. Like you'll just like one of them just like folds in half and like it just goes pitch black and then that's it. Folded in half on the
Bang.
floor and they're like, what?
You hear a bunch of noise. You just hear goo, and all of a sudden they're just dead. And it's like, man, this is full on. Like if you haven't seen it, watch the movie Devil. It's really, really good.
It does sound familiar, so I think I might have seen it.
But the actor who plays Sauron is also in that movie.
Yeah.
And he's good in that movie too. Man, so many tangents. I'm so sorry.
We did
This is
cover
what
the
happens
Halo.
on our show, but John's usually there to rein me in.
Yeah, there's no rain in us.
Because it happens on our show a lot. We go on a lot of movie and TV show tangents.
No, we're exactly the same, to be honest. We just go off on these mad tangents.
I could talk about movies, games, and TV shows all day, mate.
You can't help it. You can't help it. Like, John and I have spoken about it. It's like, do we do a movie podcast as well? Because I could talk about movies like for hours.
Yeah.
Like, for the long... I could talk about movies and TV shows I'm watching just probably more than video games.
Oh, easily.
Have you both been watching Moon Knight?
Yes. Love it. Love it.
Absolutely love it. Oscar Isaac is amazing.
It's the best Marvel show. Like,
I love the way he's handling the dual identities. It's so good.
yeah, he's doing it really well.
He's a really good actor, though. Like, really good actor.
He is. He is.
But
And I
then
just
it's
saw
a
a movie
toss-up
he was
between
in.
that and Loki for me, because I still loved Loki. Like, the Loki show was just...
See, I liked
phenomenal.
Hawkeye.
Yeah.
No one
I
liked
loved
Hawkeye.
I
liked Hawkeye. Hawkeye was my favorite MCU TV show until Moon Knight came along. Like, to me, and that's only because Hawkeye felt like a Marvel movie as a TV show. And so does Moon Knight. Moon Knight feels like a Marvel movie, but in a TV show format. Where Loki, WandaVision, I really wasn't a massive fan of.
I'm the same there, but I really did appreciate some of the cinematography in that, like some of the tricks they did when they sort of like bring the camera out. It goes from like the 1940s and 1950s and sort of expands. I love those little tricks.
It did a lot
there.
of cool stuff. Don't get me wrong. I just think, my problem with WandaVision was just they spent too much time showing us how cool it looks when they can pull it off, the 50s look and the 60s look. It's like, we didn't need 3 episodes of this. They could have compressed it into 1 episode
Yeah.
and had...
Yeah.
Because that's all those first 3 episodes really were. They were just showing us how clever they are and how they can make it look like I Love Lucy or like Bewitched or whatever it is. And it's like, we didn't need 3 episodes for this. You could have done it in 1.
In fact, a lot of the other Marvel shows are only 6 episodes long, and I think that's a perfect amount of episodes. I think it's
How many is Moon Knight?
It's going to be 6, so there's 3 more left.
3 more left.
Was Loki...
Things started to really ramp up
6
in
or
episode
8?
3.
I think Loki was 8.
Yeah. I think Loki was 8.
Loki was good. I didn't mind Loki. Loki was interesting. Like, that sort of started the multiverse stuff. So
Yeah.
Loki's very important from that perspective.
It was the amount of
towards
different
the
actors
end,
they
it
had in it
felt-
as well, playing as the different Lokis, which was awesome for me. Like, it was just seeing
Yeah,
so
that
many
was
different...
cool.
It was like, this is just weird, but also really cool.
And
I
an
love
alligator.
I love the variants.
Yeah, an alligator Loki.
And they had an alligator for some reason. I don't know why there was an alligator Loki, but there was an alligator Loki.
Well, there's a frog version of Thor in the comics. So
Is there
that's
really?
probably yeah, it's a little tiny frog version of Thor, and he's got a tiny Mjolnir.
Oh, wow. I'm very interested to see what... Like, now that... Marvel, I feel like they've now potentially back themselves into a corner. Like, now that they've started this multiverse stuff, I don't know how you end it.
You can't.
Like,
I think they're
that's
there's
what I mean.
infinite
moment,
possibilities.
at the moment, it feels like they're leaning too much on nostalgia, though. Especially
In
with,
what way?
especially if like you've seen No Way Home with the bringing back the
Yeah.
older characters. I feel like they're trying to do that too much now because we've seen it in the Multiverse of Madness trailer, Doctor Strange 2. They're bringing back
Apparently,
Patrick
we're going to
Stewart,
see a lot of cameos in that.
and
Yeah,
it
man.
really feels like they're trying to lean too much on nostalgia, and that kind of worries me. That they're going to do that too much going forward.
Maybe. I still have a sneaking suspicion that Robert Downey Jr. and Chris Evans leaving was the inspiration to start the multiverse.
Yeah.
That's just a theory of mine. I have no proof of it. I have no information about it. It's just a hunch that
Yeah.
I
It's like-
suspect that when those two left, they were like, man, you can't just lose Iron Man. And you can't just...
Well, I don't know if you've heard some of the crazy rumors, and I don't know if they're
Tom
true,
Cruise?
but yeah, Tom Cruise as a variant of Iron Man.
But that's why I think they did the multiverse. I think that was them going, okay, Iron Man is too big now. We can't just lose Iron Man. What do we do? Robert doesn't want to do it anymore because he got like 50 million for one of them, for one of the last ones. Like, Jesus Christ, seriously, like 50 million. Like, I love Robert Downey Jr. And I love what he did. Like, I was one of the only kids to grow up an Iron Man fan. Everyone else was Spider-Man, Batman, Superman. I was one of the only kids that grew up as an Iron Man fan. So when the Iron Man movie came out, I was so extremely happy. And it was an amazing movie. And I love Robert Downey Jr. as Iron Man. So I was devastated. And I knew it was coming. I was told he dies, like... Because I don't care about spoilers. That's another weird thing about me. I don't give a rat's about spoilers. If someone wants to spoil something, whatever. It's just a movie. It's just a game. Who cares? So I was told that Iron Man dies like, I think, close to 6 months or a year before the movie came out. And I was like, oh, seriously? Does he really? I'm like, tell me that's going to change. They're like, nah, RDJ doesn't want to do it anymore. Like, he's dying.
It was a good death, mind. It was a good death.
It was. I was sobbing uncontrollably. Like, and I'm not even joking.
That was me in the cinema.
Yep. I was sobbing uncontrollably. Like, my wife was like, be quiet. People can hear you. Like I was just like absolutely.
That was
And the funny thing is, like, I've seen it now, God knows how many times. At minimum, I still tear up if, like, when I watch that scene. I still, like, and the throat starts to get a bit tight and just it was just the worst. And
just the playback of like the video where he says, "I love you 3000," that ruins me every time.
See, the 3000 thing didn't grab me, which is weird because I have children, so it should have. But the 3000 thing, I could take it or leave it. It was neither here nor there for me. But the death scene and just Pepper going, "You can rest now," and I'm like, I was just, oh my God, that was just the absolute worst. But that's why I thought this is why they're doing the multiverse, because they need to bring back Iron Man.
Yeah.
And they probably don't know who to cast, and they're going to try different actors via the multiverse.
Yeah, I agree
See
with that.
who the audience responds to. And one of two things happens. They discover an actor that everyone likes and drag him into the main timeline and he becomes Iron Man. Or maybe RDJ gives in and they back up enough money to his house and he just comes back and they pull him from another timeline and bring him into theirs. Like, that's the thing with multiverse now. There's so many... They can literally do whatever they want.
Well, it seems like they're working towards Secret Wars, and that's sort of like a thing where worlds sort of collide. So,
Is it? I don't read the comics, so I wouldn't know.
Well, one
it
of the
looks
questions.
like
One of the
they've done
questions in the
multiple
chat
different
here.
versions of Secret Wars.
One of the questions in the chat here is: of the upcoming extended MCU movies, which are you most excited for? Nick.
It's very close between. Hold on, extended. So
Yeah,
that's
so like the
like
extended universe, so all the different ones that are coming out now.
Either Strange or Thor.
Yeah. Love and Thunder.
Thor only because Thor Ragnarok is probably for me top 3 Marvel movies. Thor Ragnarok is unbelievable.
I'd imagine we all know that Daredevil's back. That's what excites me. What they're going to do with Daredevil.
They tried to get Affleck. So in Doctor Strange, they tried to get Affleck to do a cameo as Daredevil, as his universe Daredevil. But I don't think they could get him.
I think he's over the whole superhero thing.
Yeah, that would have been hilarious though. Imagine that. Imagine they got like both Daredevils in there. But I'm looking forward to Strange because just it looks like it's going to be crazy, and I like Raimi. Raimi is a really good director. But Thor Ragnarok was amazing, and Taika Waititi is a great director too, and he's on board for that one. And I'm interested.
He's
to
also
see what
hilarious.
happens.
What we do in the shadows is an amazing.
Yeah, what we do in
movie.
the shadows. Yeah. He was even pretty funny in Free Guy.
Yes.
I don't know if you saw Free Guy.
Yeah.
I loved Free Guy.
He played the asshole boss in
He's like the douchey
Free
boss
Guy,
guy.
which I thought was good too. But I'm really interested to see how Thor Love and Thunder goes, because we found out Natalie Portman becomes Thor, but we found that out prior to the multiverse. So is Natalie Portman
also in the comics as well?
Sorry?
Natalie Portman's character also becomes the female version of Thor in the comics as well.
But I'm just wondering, are they doing it? Like, I'm wondering now that we know about the multiverse, I'm wondering now, are they doing it in a multiverse way, or are they doing it in a no, she becomes Thor way? I'm just curious how they're doing it.
Yeah.
Not too sure about that, because I don't think Ragnarok is... Not Ragnarok, Love and Thunder is penned as a multiverse movie.
Oh, okay. Like I said, we found out before the multiverse. That's why I wasn't sure. Are they making her Thor proper, or is it a multiverse thing?
Yeah.
Could be. 'Cause I think is Tom Hiddleston in Love and Thunder? I'm not too sure. Then I
that's a good question. I don't know.
Loki.
Well, yeah, because technically isn't
secretive.
Loki, I was going to say, isn't Loki technically dead in the actual
in their timeline he would
films?
be.
In their timeline, yeah. And this is what I mean. Like that now with the multiverse stuff, who the hell knows? That's why I'm wondering how they're doing it, because has Hemsworth said he doesn't want to do it anymore?
I think he said he'll continue being Thor for as long as Marvel want him.
That's all right then.
And that's what I mean. So it's like, okay, so if he's staying on, that's what makes me think, is it a multiverse thing with Natalie Portman?
Or a series.
Could
be. Yeah.
A bit like the Loki,
That'd be really interesting.
There has been like set pictures of, which is supposed to be where Mjolnir was broken by Hela. And it looks like that the hammer's going to be reforged. So it might not be multiverse. Knows.
Okay. Well, look, I'm super looking forward to it, because I adored Ragnarok. Ragnarok is a top 3 Marvel movie for me.
Yeah.
Like,
I just loved all 3 of them. To be fair, I loved the humor in it as well. Like the little sidekicks and characters that are in there are hilarious. I've forgotten. Is it the
in Ragnarok?
Yeah. Is it?
Yeah, but that's Taika Waititi. That's his influence on that movie. Like that rock guy, I've already forgotten his name.
He's so funny.
He's a classic. He is an absolute classic. And that I think he's played by Taika Waititi, isn't
he? He's voiced by him, yeah.
Yeah, the bug.
Yeah. He's not dead.
But if you've seen other stuff that Taika Waititi's been involved in, that's the humor.
Yeah.
Like, that is the exact humor, and it's just hilarious. Like,
it's very improvisational, sort of like.
Yeah. You can tell a lot of that would have been improv. like just even that bit where they walk in and he's on the PlayStation and he's playing Fortnite and he was saying how it's like this kid called me a dickhead again. Oh my god, I cracked up
Noob
laughing.
Master.
New Master 69 or whatever it was. That was just, oh man. But yeah, What We Do in the Shadows. I haven't seen the series, but I've seen the
season 1 and it was pretty good. And well, I won't spoil it for you. It's worth watching.
I haven't seen the series, but I have seen the movie, and the movie was quite funny.
I love the movie.
Really, really funny.
I love the werewolves in it as well, and I was always hoping for like a spin-off where they call it What We Do in the Moonlight or something like that, just based around the werewolf group. That would have been hilarious.
It was good. It was a good show. I mean, Jojo Rabbit was good. I don't know if
I've
you
not
saw
seen
Jojo
it yet.
Rabbit.
I need to do it.
That's real good too. Where he plays Hitler. Or he plays Hitler's ghost. Or yeah, he plays like
It's like I think it's like supposed to be an imaginary friend or something.
yeah, like
isn't it?
it's Jojo's imaginary friend Hitler. He's like, yeah, and it's played by Taika Waititi. It's quite funny. It's really, really good. But yeah, man, so much movie talk. Sorry, I keep doing it's me. I keep doing it, and it takes us off on these tangents. So yeah, I'm very sorry.
Well, we should be getting really any time there a trailer for Love and Thunder because that is due out in June.
Yeah,
unless it gets delayed.
No, they've said
They're
doing
leaving
the press,
it super
they're doing the press
late.
rounds now.
I'd imagine they
press
dropped
rounds.
the
that's coming out in June. Love
Yeah.
and Thunder.
apparently, yeah, June.
What?
Yeah.
Yeah,
No.
unless it gets delayed, but they're doing the press stuff
can't
now.
be right.
I kind of expect them to drop the trailer as soon as Multiverse of Madness comes out.
Well, I was about to say
Next-
it'll probably
next
play at Multiverse of Madness because Multiverse of Madness is in like 3 weeks, and we've been seeing trailers for that for how long?
Well,
Months and months
while.
and months.
Yeah.
Was it at the end of No Way Home they had the first official trailer for Multiverse of Madness?
I think so.
It could be that we get that at the end of Multiverse of Madness.
Yeah, but that's
then they just
5
release it
months
online.
in advance. 5 or 6 months in advance. If Love and Thunder is June, we're 2 months away and we haven't seen a single
It's
trailer.
crazy.
Like, what? How is that possible?
I think Taika Waititi was in an interview and he jokingly said you'll see the trailer in June.
Oh my God, he probably meant it.
Yeah, the trailer literally. As
When the
you're
movie
watching
comes
film.
out, you'll see it.
Yeah, they'll have a trailer for the movie when you're watching the movie.
To be honest, with the like might of Marvel and how big those movies are, I don't even think they need to release a trailer. People are gonna go see it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know, but yeah, you still need trailers though to get people hyped and to remind people more than anything. Like, have a look. I had no idea it was June until you just said it. I thought Love and Thunder was like August or September or something. I had no idea it was June.
It's insane.
Yeah, I think it's
that's
towards
what
the
I
end
mean.
of June. So
That's what trailers do. Trailers remind people. It's like, oh yeah, that's when this comes out. See, I actually strangely thought that Strange was June. I didn't realize Strange was May.
yeah,
like, what?
it's May.
And I had to quickly go and buy my tickets because all of a sudden I'm seeing all these ads for, oh, you'll be able to buy tickets for Doctor Strange soon. I'm like, isn't that in June? And they're letting us buy tickets in April. I'm like, that's weird. And then it's like, no. It's like first week of May. I'm like, Jesus, quickly jumped on and got my tickets ready to go. Can't wait. Looks so good.
I
Great.
mean, they could always, I guess, delay it by a month.
Maybe.
Depends,
It's just
really.
odd that we've seen nothing. Like absolutely nothing of that movie, and it's supposed to come out in 2 months' time. That is bonkers.
Yeah.
Wow.
Just a little bit.
Yeah.
A little bit.
Crazy.
A little bit of game talk now.
Yeah.
Square Enix CEO claimed that if they made a Western game, it would be terrible. What? Did you see the
What?
Yeah. He said if Square Enix made Western games, they would be bad.
As in one of their Japanese studios.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, I can understand his line of thinking if you think about it. Like, again, you got to try and see things from his perspective
Yeah.
rather than ours, because from our perspective, that's an odd thing to
statement
say.
to make.
But from his perspective, all the Western games that have come from their Western studios have allegedly underperformed despite selling
Yeah.
like 10 million copies plus. They've underperformed. So in Square's eyes, those games have sucked.
Yeah.
So if the Western games from their Western studios have sucked, in his eyes, naturally he thinks any Western game his Japanese studios make would suck. So I can understand his thought process. It's just a warped view is all. It's
Yes.
just a bit,
It's a warped view.
it's just a
from
bit
very
warped. But
company.
I understand why he feels that way. Because Square's a weird company.
Yeah.
Like, I saw a meme once and it was so funny and so true. Like, you know, it was this meme about comforting a child that, you know, having like favorite children. And it was a meme about like one child was like the Western games and the Western studios, and then the other child was the Japanese games with the Japanese studios. And, you know, when the Western child like underperforms, even though they sell 10 million copies, they're like scolded. But then the Japanese child sells 1 million copies and they're like, oh, you've done really well, you know, do even better next time, blah, blah, blah. It's like, man, that's so true. Like, when the Japanese games underperform and don't sell much,
They don't
say anything.
Nope.
They don't say anything. But then when Square Enix or Eidos sell 10, 15 million copies, they're like, man, boy, did those games suck.
Yeah.
And they didn't sell
publicly-
very well at
They're
all.
not even just keeping it in wraps. Like
Very
publicly
biased.
tell them
Yeah,
off. They're like,
that-
these are
it's
terrible. We hate
Yeah,
you.
they publicly push them under the bus and they're like, man, this Rise of the Tomb Raider game is like 80 something on Metacritic and sold 15 million copies. Jesus, how worthless a crystal.
Yeah.
Man, these guys
They might as
suck.
well just let their Western studios go or
it's
sell
just-
them.
Just get it over with. Just let Microsoft take Crystal off your hands and be done with it. Like,
Yeah.
we know that's where it's heading. Like, anyone can see that that's where it's heading. Like, why would you just loan out one of your biggest Western studios to Microsoft to make one of their IPs if you want to keep them around
Yeah.
doing stuff? Like, that whole situation's just odd. That whole thing is odd. And at the same time that we were being told they're making Perfect Dark, Square is pushing them under the bus publicly.
Yeah.
Like, that's just a weird situation. I'd be very, very surprised if Crystal Dynamics don't end up as a Microsoft studio at some point.
Oh, 100%.
I would be... I've said this before. To me, it's a matter of when, not if.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of when. It's just... My question is, would Tomb Raider come with them? That's my bigger question. Does the Tomb Raider IP come with Crystal?
I think so, because
be very
again,
curious.
as I think by that statement there, he's kind of alluding to the fact that they couldn't make a Western game, and Tomb Raider is very much a Western IP. Like, they couldn't do that. I think they would
Yeah.
happily let that one go because their bread and butter is Final Fantasy and JRPGs and
That's right. So what are they? Who's going to make Tomb Raider if Crystal's gone?
yeah. And obviously
mean,
they're not
Microsoft
gonna
might
put
have
it
to-
back to Eidos. It's a long time
No.
since Eidos has made a Tomb Raider game.
Well, they made Shadow, didn't they?
Did they make Shadow? Or was that Crystal?
Yeah, they made... Eidos Montreal was mostly responsible, I think, for Shadow. And that was the one that performed the worst of the three.
Great games.
Yeah. I've got to go back to Shadow. I'd started it, but it gets a bit... And that's the thing. Shadow, of the three of them, for me, Shadow is the most Ubisoft-like.
Yeah, I know what you mean.
Where there's just an overwhelming amount of stuff to do, where Rise in 2013 felt far more... Rise of the Tomb Raider, for me, personally, is the best in that genre, that third-person action-adventure genre. That is my favourite game out of any of them. Any platform, any console, any... Rise of the Tomb Raider is, to me, the greatest execution of that type of game.
Yeah.
I've always called it the best Uncharted.
Yeah.
Because it's not bloated. It doesn't bombard you with cutscenes. It's not this empty, lifeless open world. I like the small hub thing that they do, and you can go back and forth. There isn't a ridiculous amount of collectibles to worry about. It's just, I don't know. I love that game so much. Rise of the Tomb Raider was just a fantastic game.
Yeah. To the Fifth Horseman,
But yeah,
pull the trigger because it's only like £18 or something if you're in the UK. It's like $20 or something for the trilogy. Yeah,
The third one's the only one I haven't bothered to play.
pull the
Shadow.
trigger.
It's
Yeah,
okay.
Shadow.
I mean, and now on Series X, it's like 4K 60.
Yeah.
Looks gorgeous, runs brilliantly. It's a lot. It's the one where the Ubisoft itis
Stuff
starts to
coming
creep
in.
into it.
Yeah.
Like you hit this one particular hub world thing, and it's just this giant map with 1,000,001 icons on it, and I'm just like, oh, really?
Yeah.
This was not in the first two games.
Is that just after the kind of destruction of the town/city? And then you go.
I can't remember the name of the town I'm in right now. I think it starts with H.
I think I'm up with this. I stopped at the same part as you. I'm in like this hub world section, and I was like, right, okay, I'll put it down for a bit and play something else. And I've never been back to it since. I've been meaning to.
Yeah, and you're in that village.
Yes,
You're in that village.
that's the one. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm there right now, and I don't seem to be able to get much further past it because it's just so full on. Like, there's just a lot there. Like, up until you hit that point, it's a bit more like the first two.
Yeah.
The stages aren't very big, bit more linear, blah, blah, and then you hit this point in the game, and it goes full Ubisoft on you.
Yeah.
And it's just...
I think I got 30 hours into Assassin's Creed Valhalla and I was like, I can't be bothered.
30 hours?
Yep, 30 hours and I was like, I can't be bothered. I don't feel like I'm progressing.
Yeah. To be
Wow,
fair, it
I
took me
got
77 to
like-
finish.
Man, I got like 3 hours into Origins, and I'm like, this feels like work. This just feels like work now, and I have not gone back to Origins. I think I'm realizing, and maybe it's my age, but I think I'm realizing I'm just done with these kinds of games now.
Huge open world games.
Like,
Yeah.
I'm just done with it. Like, it's just, who has the time? I like my short little, I don't know. Yeah, like even now with Lego Star Wars, like I thought, oh, that's a Lego Star Wars game. Cool. Man, it's big. Like, there's a lot. And it's just, I don't know. I think, look, I'm assuming it's just my age. But, sorry for another tangent.
No, I'm
Square
exactly the
Enix
same as you.
president.
Mate, to be fair, I'm exactly the same as you. Like, I'm getting to the point now where I've got that many. Like, this is the one that's going to kill most people. Like Red Dead Redemption 2. I know it's a masterpiece, but I just can't bring myself to start that, knowing how big it is.
Yeah.
Like, I know how
I
big
love
it
that
is.
game.
I know the game itself is brilliant, like an absolute masterpiece. But I know the time I have to put into finishing that game just puts us off immediately. I'm like, I'd much rather play 10 indies in that time than play one game
Exactly
for
right.
like 100.
And I can't
plus
deal
hours.
with how Rockstar games feel to play. I don't like that heavy, slow, weighty, molasses feeling gameplay that they've had since GTA 4.
Yeah.
You know, and I thought, I booted up GTA 4 last year. I'm like, it runs at 60 now on the Series S. Maybe at 60 it'll feel heaps better. Nope, it does not. That's just the way those games are. They can run at 60, they can run at 120, they can run at 4,000 frames. They're still going to feel sluggish and slow and heavy and just, nah. I'm big on how tight a game feels. Like, I'm very, very big on that. And those games don't feel tight at all. They're just imprecise and sloppy, and And I know that's what a lot of games are starting to do now. Like, so again, maybe it's my age growing up on arcade games that are like super, super tight and fast and responsive and all that sort of stuff. I don't know. But if a game feels like that to me, I just don't bother.
Yeah.
Didn't touch
more
GTA
like-
5.
All the story for Red Dead that I love.
And you mentioned before that you're big on story, so I can understand that being more of a draw. But as someone who doesn't give a rat's about a story,
Yeah, I fully understand that.
there's no point in a game like Red Dead for me. Like, it's just,
Yeah.
there's no use.
I'm like that with most open world games, though. Like, for example, The Witcher 3. Great game, but once I put it down, found it hard to get back into. And I'm like that with a lot of open world games.
They need like a previously on
Yeah.
type of thing. The video game equivalent of previously on. Like, I don't know how you solve that problem. I'm not a programmer. I'm not a game developer, but maybe there's a way where a game could be like, because obviously they have your save file there, and a modern day video game would be aware of how long it has been since you've played it.
Yeah.
So there must be a way in games they can be like, okay, you haven't played this game in 2 months. This is what you were doing when you were here last.
Yeah.
This
Would you
is
like
the
a
path you
refresher
were
on the
This is
controls? Yes, please.
Yeah, maybe that too. But like, this is the quest you were on. This is what you had unlocked. This is what you had done. Away you go. I don't know how they do that. I'm just spitballing here. Like, it'd be cool if they could figure out that
Yeah,
issue.
that would be a cool idea. Something I would like to
I
see.
had the same thing. I did. I went back to Origins. I thought I'll jump back in. Had no idea what the hell was going on. Had no idea the path I was on, where I was meant to go, what I was doing. I couldn't even remember how to play the game. Like you said, Dutch, from a control perspective, I couldn't even remember how to play the game. And I'm like, nope, quit back out again and uninstalled it. I was like, I'm just not going to bother because...
I can't tell you how many times I've done that with an open world game. I do it with Skyrim.
Witcher's the hardest one to do it with, to be fair, because Witcher's got so many different mechanics you need to learn. Like, you need to learn how to mix potions and put certain potions on, and how to do your Witcher sense and
really?
certain magic and casting spells whilst you're doing them. And like, right, okay, well, I need to put my shield on quickly here, and I need to put the sword thing on here and push away, and then you put ointment on my sword before I start. And
oh my God.
like, so if you go away from that game for even like a couple of weeks and you come back, like if you just playing it for even the second time or something, you will just forget everything. And then like I got to the point where I was about 50 hours in. I hadn't obviously finished it because it's about a 200-hour game. Tried to go back and I was like, I've got no idea what I'm doing here. I've absolutely no idea, or how anything works. I've
No
forgotten
way.
everything. Too big.
No way. I'm not doing that.
That's me with Skyrim though. Like I've completed Skyrim, I think twice, but now like I try and go back into it, and I'm like, oh, I install it. I'm like, I really could play Skyrim right now. Install it. I load it up. I'm like, nah.
Yeah. And off again.
And I do that so many times.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, I can't be bothered.
I did exactly
Yeah.
the same thing when
It's too much
the
work.
Series X patch released for Skyrim, and I was like, I'm gonna play Skyrim and do another
Yep,
playthrough
that
on
was me.
Series X, and I got through like the opening sequence where you run out of the town, and I was like, and off. I was
That's
like,
the part
nope.
that gets me. I'm like, I'm going to start a new character on Skyrim, and I'm going to do something else. And then nope, I end up going back to doing what I was doing originally. And then I'm like, 2 minutes later, I'm like, I don't really want to do this. Why did I do this?
Yeah, I know. Or I just go back to playing Rocket League. I just play anytime I'll jump on the Xbox and I'll be like, what do I feel like playing? And I'll go to play something else, and then I'm like, move over to that Rocket League icon and just press A, and I'll just play Rocket League for like hours on end. Like, oh, that game, like I love it to death, but it also makes me rage. Like, because I'm, back when I used to play sport, I was super competitive. Didn't matter what sport I played. Like growing up, I played them all: soccer, basketball, Australian rules, football, whatever.
Aussie
Like
Rules
any
is a
sport I played.
weird game, by the way. Aussie Rules football is just
Sorry?
such a...
Aussie rules football. Oh, look,
It's such a weird game
I'm
to
biased when
watch.
I say it's the best sport in the world. I'm
circular
biased when I
pitch.
say it's the best sport in the world. Sorry?
A circular pitch.
Well, yeah, it's an oval. It's a big oval. Like, it's literally the same shape as the ball itself. But people don't realize, like, AFL athletes are probably the fittest in the world. There's no protection on their bodies.
Nope.
And they hit each other hard,
Yeah.
unprotected. Like, there have been injuries in AFL, like broken bones and stuff, where they report back, because in the news, in the media here, it's obviously covered a lot. And, you know, there have been players where the doctors would be like, what we have seen with this player's bones, we only see in car crashes. We don't see this in regular injuries. We only see these kinds of injuries in car crashes. So that's the sort of stuff you deal with in Aussie Rules, because you see gridiron, and I call it gridiron American football because I don't know why they use the term football.
Yeah.
There's no kicking outside of the odd punt here and there. I don't know why they call it football.
Yep.
But in gridiron, there's helmets and there's padding and there's this. AFL, think of that faster, harder, and with no protection. Like, and these guys are massive. Like, these guys are units. Like, you have guys in AFL that are 6'6", 6'4", and they can run like the wind.
Yeah.
And they charge into each other full bore. And like, it's... But I understand why it's a sport that hasn't taken off overseas. I fully understand why. It's the only sport in the world where the rules change every year, or the interpretations of the rules change every year, which is a bizarre concept. We're used to it. We've grown up on it. But I try and think of things as, like, I have this weird thing where I try and view things from an outsider's point of view, and I'm like, yeah, they would be weirded out by Aussie Rules because we change our rules. Like, it's the only sport in the world. Like, you know, I used to be big on soccer, and I know that's proper football, but it's just easier to call it soccer when you're talking about so many versions of football.
I've never been into soccer.
Oh, look, I used to adore it, and I played, like, in terms of sports I played, soccer was my sport.
Yeah.
And I'm going to toot my own horn here and say that I was legitimately good at it. But my problem with watching soccer is the way they flop around and act like they've been shot by a sniper rifle when they haven't been touched. That just turns me off. Especially coming from someone who's grown up watching AFL, where they full on hit each other like trucks and get straight back up. You know, we had an incident just now where someone was suspended for a week for a dangerous tackle. He's grabbed the guy, pinned one arm, and slung him around twice and gone bang, straight into the ground. This dude just got up. Now, if that happened to someone in soccer, they would have buried him out on the field in a coffin. They would have had a funeral for him out there.
Yeah.
So between them flopping around and staging and all that sort of stuff, which is just a big turn off for me.
I'm pretty sure they must take some sort of like low budget acting class.
Oh, I don't know, but it's a disgrace. And I'm pretty sure soccer is mostly corrupt as well, which is a big turn off as well. It's like, whatever, man. If this is all just going to be rigged, then who cares? Like, what am I watching it for? Like, it's just, I don't know. And it's a shame because I adore playing the sport. Favorite sport to play. Played indoor soccer for 20 years. Played outdoor for many years. Like, I love playing it. That's why they call it the beautiful game for a reason. Because it is. It's just unfortunate that watching it is just, I don't know. Like, I caught a bit of it yesterday. Like, I happened to be watching a bit of Man United Norwich yesterday. I'm a Man United fan. And I happened to be watching Man United Norwich yesterday for a bit. And I saw this moment where a guy got like slightly bumped by a Man United player, and he hit the deck like a pile of bricks had fallen on him, and like stayed down for like a minute acting like he was dead. And he got like slightly bumped, and I'm just like, dude, get up. Just get up. Like, you've got the free kick. Get up. Just, and I'm like, yep. This is why I don't watch soccer anymore. Like, it's just, oh God, it's just the worst.
I think the
It's the
closest
worst. Sorry,
we've got
I'm
to
aware.
Aussie
You guys are
Rules
from the
over here is
UK, so I'm
rugby
aware
league.
how big. I'm well aware how big soccer is in the UK. So,
Yep.
but I can't enjoy it anymore. I just, nah.
Not into
think-
it either.
But yes,
So I'm saying, I think the closest we've got over here is rugby league or rugby union.
yeah, we've got rugby here too.
Yeah. I think it's the
Those
closest we're
guys
going to
are
get to
like-
Aussie Rules. Yeah. Stacked guys, no armour.
Well, you guys have there's Gaelic. Gaelic is played in and we play an international rules series against Ireland
Yeah.
most years. I mean, obviously the last couple of years with COVID, no. But prior to that, every year there was always an international rules series between Australia and Ireland where we played Gaelic because Aussie Rules translates, like our guys can play Gaelic just fine because it just translates 1-to-1 pretty much. It's like AFL, but with a soccer ball, basically. And our guys, Aussie Rules players, another thing about Aussie Rules players is that they happen to also, like, Australia is a very, very pro sporting nation. Like, we're very, we're very intense about our sport. Like, Melbourne is the sporting capital of the world, basically. We have the F1 here. We have the Australian Open tennis here. We have, like, I think we're the only
Cricket.
city in the world. I think Melbourne is the only city in the world, and AFL the only sport in the world, where the majority of the teams in the entire national competition come from one city, and that's Melbourne. I think we're the only city in the world that does that. So we're big on our sport, but our athletes can play multiple sports. Like Ash Barty, #1 tennis player in the world, she was a brilliant cricketer as well. She was just as good as cricket as she was as tennis. She can also play AFL, and we now have an AFL Women's League. So I wouldn't be surprised if she ends up in the AFLW. We have footballers that used to be great cricketers. We have footballers like the captain of the team I go for in the AFL, Collingwood. Our captain is Scott Pendlebury. He almost got into the NBA and to play alongside Paddy Mills. I want to say Paddy Mills. He almost got into the NBA. Like our athletes are, and I know that sounds like, arrogant talk, but our athletes are unbelievable. Like AFL players run 10, 15 Ks a game.
Yeah.
Because remember, our pitch is a hell of a lot bigger than a soccer pitch. It's like double the size.
Yeah.
So our players are going back and forth for 2 hours because it's basically half-hour quarters.
Right.
So soccer is the 90 minutes. Our game is basically 2 hours. And they're just running up and down. Like in soccer, they sprint a lot, but there's not a lot of full-on ground coverage. The forwards stay forward, the mids go up and down, and the defenders stay back. AFL, our defenders half the time spend the time forward, and the forwards go back, and the ruckman goes everywhere, and the mids... Like I said, our guys are covering 10, 15 Ks a game. They're freak athletes. And at the same time, not only are they running 10, 15 Ks, they're getting smashed by everyone constantly. It's an unbelievable sport, but I completely understand why other countries don't get it.
Yeah.
Because there's a ton of rules. A lot of the rules don't make sense. It's umpired poorly. The rules change. So I get why it doesn't catch on outside of Australia. But I feel like it's one of those things where if you came to live here permanently and just started to get into it, you'd end up loving it more than any other sport. So who was it? Did you say your sister was in Melbourne now?
Yeah. Cousin.
Oh, cousin, sorry.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised how long have they been here?
Ooh. About 10 years now.
Oh, wow, that long.
Yeah.
Like, I wouldn't be surprised if they had started to get into AFL.
Yeah.
Just because of how long they've been here now. And I'm sure someone has, got them to go for a team and taken them to a few games. And it's one of those sports where once you're here and you stay, you will eventually grow to love it. But I can totally understand how watching it from afar, you'd be like, what the hell is this stupid sport? Like,
What is going on? It was just the
Yeah.
pitch shape that weirded me out. I was like, what's going on with the pitch? Like, why is it?
yeah.
What is like? What
Yeah,
is
it's
going
the
on?
oval. It's literally the same shape as the ball, basically. Because, the more I think about it, it is the only pitch in sport that's like that, isn't it?
Yeah.
Every other sport has a rectangular pitch, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Pretty much. All the major sports, anyway.
Yeah.
Hockey, soccer, basketball, gridiron. Yeah, wow, it is too. I never even thought about that. Our pitch is a round shape. I did not even... Wow, I didn't even think about that till you just said it. We're the only sport that has a pitch like that. But that's the thing. I grew up on it, so that's all I know. Like, so none of it is odd to me because that's all I've ever known. But I can totally see now why. Wow, I can't believe I never even thought of that. It's actually, it might be the
I've
only
never
sport
seen
that
it.
has a pitch.
I'm gonna have to
It's
Google
just
it.
an oval. It's literally just a big oval, but it's massive. Like you're talking about 150 meters in length, roughly.
Yeah.
130 to 150 meters in length. They're big pitches, bigger than anything else in the world. Like, they're huge. Which then leads to, that's why our players run so far. And they have to be so incredibly fit. Like,
It's different.
yeah, they are, our players are just machines. They are just unbelievable. They are freak athletes. Just amazing stuff. You have to ask your cousin now. Then next time you speak to your cousin, you have to ask them if they're into the AFL. I'd be surprised if they're not. Yeah, that's great. Man, I can't believe the tangents we're going on.
Yeah.
I am so sorry.
It's okay.
It wasn't my intention to do this. It wasn't my intention.
No, it's good.
Fine by me. I could talk forever,
We
me.
were talking about Square Enix's president.
Yeah. And
And now we're talking about AFL. How did we get here from Square Enix's president?
I think we've covered everything, really. Now we've covered sports.
Oh my god. I don't think we've covered food yet.
No, we haven't covered food yet.
We do a lot of
Any
food
minute.
tangents on the XboxEra podcast. We haven't covered food yet.
Oh dear me. I was going to say,
God.
talking of strange developer comments, of course, Oddworld developer blames PS Plus for poor sales despite underestimating their game. You might have seen that one. So the Oddworld developer, of course,
I did.
cited what was essentially destroyed. What they said destroyed them. I think that's maybe a bit over the top. For the fact that it went into PS Plus, and he essentially the what his sounds like his deal translated in was, tell us how many units you think you would sell, and that's how much we'll compensate you for.
Yeah.
And he's said 50 to 100,000 units, so they've compensated them for that amount. But it's
That's it.
yeah.
That's all he thought he was going to sell.
Yeah, 50 to 100,000, but there's been 4 million downloads on PS Plus. So he's like, well, that's 4 million that we could have had, that we've... And
No,
I've,
but that's not true, though.
yeah,
That's the piracy argument. Oh, well, if 10 million people pirated it, that's 10 million sales. Well, no, that's
Yeah.
not how that works. Like, and that's where, like, Microsoft understands that.
yeah, exactly.
Like, with Game Pass, that's the point of, like, the whole point is, and again, I haven't read the article. I'm just basing it on what you're saying, but I am aware of the story. Like,
Yeah,
4 million people downloaded it because they had access to it.
yeah,
If the game wasn't on PlayStation Plus, he still would have only sold his 50 or 100,000 copies.
yeah.
Like,
And there's not to say
And the
that
idea
4
is-
million actually even turned the game on yet. A lot of them just went, redeem, add to library.
download. Yeah, add to library, which I love that feature.
Yeah.
I love that they have that feature, that add to library feature, where I don't have to initiate a download and then cancel it.
Yeah,
I really wish Microsoft would add
yeah,
that
they 100% need it.
feature.
It's perfect.
Oh,
Like
I love
games
it.
with
I love
gold
it. I
stuff,
just-
you can just go add library, add library, add library. That's it, done.
Yeah. Yep. Exactly right. I wish they would. I love that feature on PlayStation. Just add to library. Done. So good.
Yeah,
But like, how many PlayStation Plus subscribers are there? Isn't there like 40 million of them?
yeah. 40 million.
Like, So only 4 of those bothered to add it to their library. You can't assume that all 4 million would have bought it if it wasn't on PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
Like, that's the whole point of it launching or going on PlayStation Plus. It's an exposure thing. So in an ideal world, they'll play your game on Plus, love it enough to eventually buy it, whether it's on sale or whatever. Like, I buy games that are on Game Pass.
Yeah, same.
Like, if there's a game I want to keep forever, I'll buy it. Like, I bought Devil May Cry 5, even though it was on Game Pass. I played it via Game Pass, and then when it was on special, cheap enough, I bought it.
Yeah.
I'll do the same with whatever other game, Tunic or anything. Like, that's the beauty of Game Pass. I'll still buy a game I want to buy, but in a way, the developer gets my money twice.
Yeah,
because they get it from Microsoft for being on Game Pass, and then they'll get it from the people that buy it or word of mouth. Oh my God, this game is amazing, and then that person buys it, and that's the idea. That's the way it's meant to work. Him getting upset over, oh, well, there was 4 million downloads, but they only gave me money for 100,000 copies that I told them would sell. And it's like, well, maybe you should have told them more.
Exactly. Like I don't understand where he thought. And Oddworld is an iconic name in gaming. Like, Oddworld's been around for a very long time. It's like, I don't understand why, as the developer of Oddworld, you thought we're only going to shift 100,000 units. Like, why would you, like...
That's low.
It is low.
That's low by modern day standards, isn't it?
Like, very, very low. Like, a lot of first time indies only shift 100, 200,000.
That's right. That's odd. Like, even indies with big marketing campaigns, like the ones that get marketed by the first parties, like Cuphead, Ori, like, even those ones, and their indies go on to sell nearly 1 million copies or more.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Why would a game like Oddworld only sell 100,000?
Yeah. Oddworld's a big title. It's been around since PS1 days, right?
I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think the Oddworld franchise was ever a massive seller.
Yeah.
But it's still a big enough and a known enough property to shift more than 100,000, surely.
Yeah, definitely.
I mean, you lowballed your own game, dude. Like, it's not...
Yeah, that's my thing on it as well. He's just... you would have at least said 500,000 to 1 million. Like, I would never have said 50,000 to 100,000. I'd be like, really? Like, less than a mobile game?
But it didn't launch on PlayStation Plus, though, did it?
No.
No, I don't think so.
So that's what makes the situation even more odd. So by the time it went into PlayStation Plus, it had probably already been out a little while, I'm assuming, because I don't remember it launching onto PlayStation Plus.
Yeah.
So whatever it was going to sell, it would have already sold. So why would he be upset at 4 million downloads? Like, those 4 million downloads, that's just people trying it, dude. That's not people that were going to buy it. If they were going to buy it, they would have already bought it. The game's probably gone on sale before it even went on PlayStation Plus.
And you've got all the people that they download it because it's there, and then they can come back to it whenever they want.
And you got an extra cash injection by telling Sony maybe it'll sell another 100,000. Like, I don't... It's a weird...
So I do it with Epic Games Launcher. They have like their weekly free game, and I had that game every week in my library, pretty much.
Yep.
Unless I forget.
Those.
And Decado as well, saying there it was negotiated for the first month of PS5, but then got delayed. So the negotiations hadn't been changed. It was essentially still going on launch month PS5. So.
Right. Okay.
So, but even then,
I mean,
there would be a bit more foresight. You would think. Well, considering it's going on to PS Plus for like 1-2 months, depending on how long. Sometimes it's a month, sometimes it's a little bit longer. You would think they would. I'm sure it went on for 2 months as well. You would think you'd go.
I thought it was always 1 month. I thought games were only ever on for a month.
Sometimes they negotiate for longer. I've seen them on for 2 months before, on PS Plus.
Oh, okay.
They usually just state like they don't show in your in like the advertised section, but they can still redeem them for the next month onwards.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, it's a bit of a strange one. Very strange. I just think he underestimated.
But my thing is, the way the whole article, at least the headline and all the talk about it, was framed like it launched into Plus.
No.
And they lowballed themselves and lost all these sales. But it's like, but you didn't even launch into Plus. Whatever your game was going to sell, it sold.
Yeah.
That's it. It wasn't going to sell any more than that. So it's just an odd thing to be upset about.
Yeah.
I'm surprised they never made a sequel to Oddworld Stranger's Wrath.
They've just remastered it. There was another comment in
the
the chat
there.
Yeah.
Stranger's Wrath was awesome.
It's like the Falconeer didn't launch into Game Pass.
Yeah.
I think it went to Game Pass 3 or 6 months later. So by that time, whatever Falconeer was going to sell, it sold.
Yeah.
So Thomas would have then got a cash injection for being on Game Pass.
Exactly, yeah.
And then it would have got a whole bunch of downloads on Game Pass and people trying it out. Some of those people might have bought it on sale. Some of them might not. It's weird to complain about what happens to your game launching on Plus after launch, like when you didn't launch into Plus.
Yeah. It is very strange. And obviously with Thomas Salah's case, it obviously helped because he's ended up being able to launch it on every other device known to man.
Yeah. Yeah, he's launched it on everything. And I feel like that's happening with all indies now.
Yeah.
Like, I'm noticing now all indies end up multi-platform eventually.
Oh, yeah.
Because now we've seen Bugsnax coming to Xbox. That was the game that, oh, God, was so hyped. It was like such a... I remember looking at this game, I'm like, what's all this hype about? Like, is it just because it's like PS5, PS4 exclusive? Like, is that all it is? Like, why is this game being hyped? And
we finally got to talking about food there.
yeah. It's just, the one I'm interested in Sifu and Kenna. I wonder if those will come to Xbox or will Sony lock those up?
I think Sifu will be locked up. I think Kina's go multiplat.
Yeah, because I remember hearing at the start, I think, that Kenna was supposed to be coming after a year or something like that.
Yeah.
I think Sifu is as well. I've got a funny feeling Sifu's coming to Xbox later as well.
That'd be interesting.
I think. I thought I read something somewhere or they said something on Twitter. I can't remember 100%, but I'm pretty sure both of those are coming to Xbox eventually.
Yeah.
I think Sony just holds those indies longer than Microsoft does. Microsoft doesn't hold them for that long. 3 months, 6 months.
Yeah.
Like, I think Artful Escape was like less than 6 months.
Yes, it was,
for coming to Switch and PlayStation. The Ascent wasn't that long.
Yep.
All those games end up... I mean, Falconeer was probably one of the ones that took a bit longer, but that's probably because Thomas was one guy developing that. So it probably just took a little bit while to make PlayStation and Switch ports. But I feel like Sony holds those games longer. Like Bugsnax was a launch title, wasn't it, for PS5? It was,
yeah.
We're now, what, a year and a half later.
I haven't heard anything about that game until recently. I mean, before it was heard. Like, it's gone that long since I've heard about it since.
Oh, well, that's right. You hear something for the first couple of weeks and then you hear nothing. That's how it works. No one...
What happened to the hype for that game?
Oh, I mean, look, do we even hear anything about Horizon Forbidden West anymore?
No.
Hear nothing about that game. I mean, don't get me wrong, Elden Ring kind of kind of cut its lunch just a little bit. But, Ratchet and Clank was being hyped to hell and back prior to launch. Basically heard nothing outside of week 2. Actually, Returnal was talked about longer.
It was, yeah.
Than Ratchet and Clank.
It still is. And Returnal's had co-op added
Returnal,
to it for
they
free.
still hold the candle for Returnal.
Expansions added to it for free.
Yeah. And I'm a Ratchet guy, so I've always loved that Ratchet. I fell in love with Ratchet on the PS3. I had not played a Ratchet game prior to the PlayStation 3. It was just I was a Jack and Daxter guy.
Yeah.
Never touched the Ratchet and Clank. And then on PlayStation 3, there was basically nothing near launch. So I got Tools of Destruction. And man, fell in love with those games. Like, bought every single one after that. Got a platinum where there was a platinum available. But I have to say though, Tools of Destruction, even though it's the first one I played, still my favorite.
Yeah.
So good. Have you played it? Tools of Destruction?
No. See, the first Ratchet I played was actually on the PS4, and that was the remaster of the other one that came out. So the literal.
That's my second favorite.
Yeah.
I've not played a single Ratchet game.
Oh, you'd love them.
You haven't? Oh, they're so good. They're so like they don't do anything super different or anything like that. Like they're not unique per se, and there's no unique thing about them per se. But like just everything they do very well.
Yeah,
that's
Jack
probably
and
the
Daxter
easiest way to explain
I
it.
enjoyed playing.
Visually, they're always great.
yeah,
They play really well. You know, the story. I mean, again, I skipped the cutscene, so I don't know what the story is. But they're just campy, fun.
The story on that one, the one that was on PS4, was actually the film as well, because the Ratchet and Clank film.
Yes, they use that as the film.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all they did was they took the film and made it cutscenes.
Yeah.
Or vice versa, one or the other. But I actually loved, because I never played the first Ratchet and Clank, and that was apparently a reimagining of the first one.
Yes, that's right. Yeah.
And that was my second favorite Ratchet game. Love it. And Rift Apart's probably third. Third spot's either Rift Apart or maybe even Quest for Booty. There was one called Quest for Booty, which was like a smaller bite-sized one that was really good. The PlayStation 3 had a lot of Ratchet games.
Yeah.
It's part of the reason I probably love the PlayStation 3. I don't think people realised how much Insomniac did on the PlayStation 3.
Oh, lots.
Insomniac went nuts on the PlayStation 3. There was the 3 Resistance games and like 4 or 5 Ratchet games.
Yeah.
Didn't they also do, what was that superhero one?
Fuse. They did
Infamous.
Fuse, the shooter.
Was it Infamous?
No, they didn't do Infamous.
Who
They
did
didn't do
Infamous?
Infamous. That was Sucker Punch.
Oh, yeah, my mistake.
But they did Fuse, that shooter that started as Overstrike and became Fuse. They did the 3 Resistance games. They did like 4 or 5 Ratchet games. That's all in one generation.
Yeah, it's insane. I mean, they're on par to do it again this gen.
Definitely.
Yeah,
Sure.
I wouldn't be surprised.
Isn't there rumours that they're working on another Marvel title outside of Spider-Man and Wolverine?
Yeah, that kind of came from me.
Ah,
That rumor kind of came from me. Oh well, yeah. I got told that there's a Marvel multiplayer thing similar to DC Universe Online.
Oh.
That's coming to PlayStation, and the source that told me speculated that they believe it might be by Insomniac. And if you look at a lot of Insomniac's job listings, they're hiring for a multiplayer game.
that could be interesting.
So it's not that they told me Insomniac are making it, but they speculated that it might be Insomniac's game.
Yeah.
So like a Marvel Universe online multiplayer thing.
Yeah, that sounds
So
interesting.
you did hear that. That came from me.
I quite enjoyed DC Universe Online.
Never
Didn't
played
play,
it.
Didn't play a whole lot of it, but what I did play, I enjoyed it. That was
Okay.
back when it was like a paid membership, though, when I played that.
All right. Well, I mean,
And then it went free to
Insomniac,
play.
I'd expect them to make something good. They are a very, very, very good studio. Sunset Overdrive was amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Unbelievable game.
It's a shame we'll never get
and
like
I hope-
a next gen patch for that as well.
Yeah, it is. It is like Sony's never going to allow Insomniac to do a Series X update. The only way that would happen, I guess, is if Microsoft got the okay for one of their teams to do it.
Yeah.
Microsoft would need to get permission from Insomniac and Sony, I assume, to be able to update and enhance Sunset Overdrive. My hope is that Microsoft give the green light to letting a remaster come out on PlayStation 5,
Yeah.
and then we get a sequel as well. I don't care if it's PlayStation exclusive. I just want another Sunset Overdrive. I don't care where I have to get it. And I will gladly buy a Sunset Overdrive remaster without the multiplayer on PlayStation. I'd gladly have it.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I never touched the multiplayer anyway. Never.
I did. It's directionless.
Isn't it just like
It's
kind
just
of
really-
a horde mode anyway?
Yeah, it is. It's this weird take on Horde, and I don't know how to explain it, but like, it's so I don't know how to score points.
Yeah.
Like, it's weird. Like, I wanted to get the achievements for it, but I don't know how to do it.
Yeah.
It's just weird because I don't know what the rules are in terms of how you score in that multiplayer. It's not great. But the campaign, incredible.
Yeah.
Loved it.
I
And
didn't play much of it, to be honest.
You can see where Spider-Man came
Gets
from
its mechanics
when
from,
you play
100%.
Sunset Overdrive.
Yeah.
I actually prefer Sunset Overdrive to Spider-Man. Spider-Man just gets a bit
Samey.
Ubisofty.
Yeah.
Yeah, just gets a bit Ubisofty after a while. Like, and each mission just... Like, I don't like using the word repetitive in games. Like, I'm one of those people that fights against that word normally because video games are repetitive by nature. They all are. Every single video game on Earth is repetitive, technically.
Yep.
Technically.
Some way, shape, or form, there's some repetitiveness to it.
They all are. To me, it's a silly... Like, when I read reviewers and they choose one game to dock a few points for being repetitive but not another, I'm like, well, hold on. They're all repetitive.
Yeah.
Why is that one losing points for it? They all are. But to me, Spider-Man is one of those games that feels repetitive. Like, you feel it when you play Spider-Man. In most other games, you don't really feel it the same way. But for some reason in Spider-Man, you feel it. Like, you really, really get that sense that, man, this is repetitive. Like, this just feels really, really repetitive. It's just, I don't know.
I agree with you, but I love that game.
I was just about to say, it's still a really good game. Don't get me wrong. And I got the platinum for it and the whole lot. And maybe that's part of the reason it felt repetitive because I went for the platinum rather than
I got the platinum, so I haven't bothered with the DLC though.
Not yet. I haven't yet either. I've bought them. I bought all the DLC. I just haven't played them yet.
That's me.
And that might be why, because you know what you're in for.
Yep.
And you may not want to go back. So that's
Every now and then
the
I'll
issue.
just load it up just to swing around the city, and that's it. Because it doesn't want to do that. Everyone's
Yeah, they nailed
dream.
how it feels. They nailed how that swinging and everything feels. It feels
It's
great.
amazing.
But yeah. So Dutch, what the hell were we talking about before we went off on that tangent? We were talking about Oddworld. We were talking about Oddworld.
Yeah.
We were talking about Oddworld.
It went from Oddworld to Bugstacks to Insomniac and Spider-Man.
Oh my god, I'm so sorry. You're
It's
never
okay.
gonna have me on the show ever again.
This is awesome. No,
You'll be like, man, our 1 hour weekend show became 3 hours of talking
3 hours.
shit about
absolutely everything.
Marvel and
Football
oh
and-
god.
That's
Yeah,
fine
talking about
by me.
AFL and car accidents.
That's fine by me. I could talk about all this stuff for ages.
Oh dear.
Oh god! And I said to my wife, I'm like, oh, apparently this show's not that quick, not that long. It only goes for like an hour and a half. It's fine.
3 hours
Oh,
later,
you've
your
been
wife's
going
still
for
sleeping. She's like
2.5 hours.
Yeah.
Are we at least setting the record for the longest one?
Oh yeah, yeah. It's definitely the longest show on the weekend. Yeah, 100%.
Oh god, I'm so sorry.
No, it's good. It's all good.
It's
all
fine.
Another topic though that we can dig into, because obviously I know Jen hasn't covered this at all. Myself, and you, Nick, we've probably been on several or spoke to several podcasts about this now. But of course, Halo and certain Affinity, the collaboration on the both Battle Royale and potentially it is kind of a more of an extreme version of Warzone from Halo 5, from what I've led to believe.
Okay.
What do you make of that? What would you like to see in a battle royale, should Halo do it, how are they going to do that?
Yeah, I mean, look, on our show we've spoken many times about it. Like, John was secretly at 343, which I didn't know about. So I'm saying all this stuff about Halo while he was at 343, knowing whether stuff was coming or not.
Yeah.
And I said to him, I'm like, Battle Royale, they're going to do it. He's like, you reckon? And again, he knows. Like, remember, he's doing all this knowing full well what's happening. And I'm like, for sure. I'm like, they have to do a Battle Royale. I'm like, Battle Royale just fits Halo. Like, to the point where I'm staggered it never happened before. Like, I'm shocked that no one at Bungie or 343 all these years were like, now we have big team battle. Why don't we experiment? Let's make the map double the size. Let's add more players.
They got the perfect device for it as well with the
It
drop
was already
pods.
there. Yeah, it was already there.
ODST
Like
drop
from
pods.
CE. Like you already had, like, big team battle is effectively mini Battle Royale.
Yeah.
Like it's like a miniaturized version of it. Like it was already there. So I am shocked. And then they got the second clue with ODSTs. So ODST came out in 2009 and you had these drop pods dropping down into an open world, literally an open world hub.
Mm-hmm.
And again,
I
there
love
was
that
no one
game.
there going,
I really want a sequel.
like you literally had signs pointing to do a battle royale back in 2001. Then you had another sign in 2009 and no one at Bungie or 343 thought of it. I'm just baffled at that. Absolutely baffled. But John brought up a good point about you've got your Spartan now that you're customizing and you're putting all this money into a Spartan. You can't really then turn around and go, well, Battle Royale is going to be ODSTs. Like in an ideal world, like the Battle Royale in Halo that I've always described is just an island or a hub like ODST's hub and 100 Spartan ODSTs drop in. Because remember, they don't have shields.
Yeah.
Just like you don't have shield in, like it's the pieces are there. They've always been there. It's just crazy to me that they've never done it. So you just have your 100 ODSTs jump in and away they go. They look for weapons and they look for a shield and blah, 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 blah. And away you go. And you could do what Fortnite did. Like Fortnite introduced those, like Fortnite has enemies in their Battle Royale. You could do the same. Have some grunts. Have some elites.
Yeah, and then you've got there's like mini bosses in Fortnite as well now where you can go and kill them for a really rare weapon.
Yep, Fortnite's got all sorts of stuff that Halo could just flat out copy, and it would fit better in Halo. Like Fortnite's thing now is wacky. That's Fortnite's thing.
Yeah.
We're just gonna do it. Is it crazy? Cool. We're gonna do it. No worries. Tony Stark's lair is in Fortnite. Okay, chuck it in.
Got the Daily Bugle from Spider-Man there.
Yeah, Daily Bugle, throw it in. Yep, Doctor Doom's underground lair. Why not? Chuck it in.
I just love how Fortnite's become this mass advertisement for like IP.
It's amazing.
In
I love
movies, TV shows, games.
I love it to death. And now that it's got no build mode, even better.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's why I went back to it. In Dutch player.
That's why I've gone back. I haven't even bought the Battle Pass and I'm still going back. Like usually I go back because I've bought the Battle Pass, so I want to unlock everything. I'm still playing it without even having bought the Battle Pass, just because it's so much better now without building.
You'll have to join me in Dutch one night when we're on it.
That'll be a late one.
For sure. If the top, look, I
Late
get
and early one.
I get a lot of the problem with Australia is our time zone doesn't really align with almost anyone.
Yeah.
So it's hard to jump on with people because, like, there's some guys that I've played Fortnite with who are from the US, but that's only because they're night owls and they stay up super late playing Fortnite. So I happen to be on when they're on, so I can play with them. Otherwise, I play with Australians usually
Yeah.
because they're in my time zone. I'm happy to play with whoever, but most of you are asleep. Or it's first thing in the morning and you're not playing video games or whatever the case may be. It's tough. But all that stuff that Fortnite does would actually fit Halo better
Yeah.
because you can have a boss that's a hunter. You can have a boss that's
Exactly.
these bosses from Infinite.
An invisible elite
then-
or a giant brute.
Yep, and you get a super weapon off them, and like you can do it's all there. Like the pieces are there. You just have to put them together and do it.
Well, I was saying, even
think
if you have a look at
when-
like the multiplayer trailer that they released as well, like at the very beginning of the multiplayer trailer, they show the Spartans dropping in the ODST pods, as opposed to being dropped off by Pelicans or anything like that. So it's obviously they've got some kind
Yeah.
of tie into that anyway, and obviously it's not ODSTs
Yeah.
dropping in the drop pods. So
Yeah, it won't be ODSTs, and I get that because all the money you're spending is for your Spartan. So I can imagine most people cracking this shit and being like, well, I've put all this money into a Spartan for a multiplayer mode I'm not going to play anymore because Battle Royale's come along.
yeah,
So I've thrown all that money away.
yeah,
So I understand that argument. And in the end, it's all pixels on the screen. So whether it's an ODST dropping or a Spartan dropping, you're not going to see them. It's first person. So in the end, it's a first world problem. It's not the end of the world if it ends up being your Spartan. For me, it was just more narratively, you already had the pieces there with ODSTs dropping into a big open world. Because Halo 3 ODST, that's what it is.
yeah.
It's a Battle Royale. You drop down, you start searching for weapons, and you're creeping around and you're taking people out. Like, it's a Battle Royale in a video game. In a single-player video game. Like, it's already there. It's just... Man.
I think when they market
odd.
this Battle Royale, if it is real, which it probably is, when they market it, they need to market it as Battle Royale Evolved, like how Combat Evolved was marketed, Combat
Yeah.
Evolved, because it reimagined FPS shooters.
Yeah. But, I mean, I was going to say it is 343, but it's not. It's Certain Affinity. Because I was going to say, it's 343, so they'll do something wrong. But no, it's Certain Affinity, so it might be okay.
Yeah.
I mean,
what
you're
would
talking
you
about
like-
Max Hoberman.
What would you
who-
like to see from a Battle Royale, though? Like, other than obviously wanting it to be ODST, what would you like to see them implement, or how would they implement it?
Well, that's what I was saying. They could probably just copy everything Fortnite does.
Yeah.
And just do the Halo version of it. Like, I didn't really like Warzone. I'd prefer they just keep anything from Warzone away.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with copying. If you do it well and implement your version well, it's okay to copy. It's not a big deal. And stuff can evolve.
Yeah.
So Fortnite now doesn't look like Fortnite 4 years ago. It's almost unrecognizable now.
Oh, yeah.
But if you were there from the start, you've seen that evolution and you haven't noticed it as much. Halo can be the same. Halo can start as just a clone of Fortnite, but with Halo skins, effectively. And then over time evolve. And say, okay, well, we'll try this. And then they throw in some new element. And then a couple of months' time, 6 months' time, season 2 of whatever it is, yep, we try this. And see how that... Like, just let it evolve. I think it should just start as a straight-up, simple, clean Battle Royale.
Yeah.
100 of you
Battle
dropping...
Royale Evolved.
Yep, just start simple and clean. If you want to copy the elements from Fortnite now, which is with the bosses and a few enemies, because again, there's not a lot of enemies in Fortnite.
Yeah.
You've got those IO soldiers. There's just a few of them around. You've got the odd boss here and there. If you want to chuck in a bit of that, because you've already got the pieces, you've already got the elements, you've got elites, you've got hunters, you've got brutes. If you want to throw a few of them in, go for it. But I think maybe just to begin with, just start with a nice, clean, simple Halo Battle Royale.
Yeah.
And then evolve it with time. But maybe that's too simplistic. I don't know.
I'd just be interested myself on seeing what the map's going to look like. And how they do that. Are
Very
they going to
interesting.
include are they going to include city areas that have been destroyed? Are they going to include like bases, like forward operating bases? Are they going to include grunt layers and enemy front lines and things? It depends how they're going to.
Can't just be one biome, that's for sure.
Nope. No, definitely not.
I do expect it to be set on the ring because the way they can make it different
Yeah.
from the other games being like a circle closing in is like, there's like hexagonal, can't even get the word out, hexagonal
They can start
parts
falling
of the
away.
map. Yeah, they could just start dropping out from underneath you. If you're
Yep.
in that zone too long, you're going bye-bye.
Yeah, that's a
You're
great
going to
idea.
take a trip in space. That'd be perfect.
I never even thought of that. That's actually a great idea. With the way Infinite has its world, yeah, you could just have sections dropping off. Better get off.
In the campaign, there's that section of the ring missing, and it's all like hexagonal shape. So it makes sense for it to be that way.
God, now that I think about it, that's actually a brilliant way of doing it, as in their spin on the ring closing in. So rather than having
ring
that
breaks
stupid
instead.
ring, yeah, just break. Just little pieces, have it all segmented, and pieces just start dropping off. That'd be awesome, actually. That'd be really good. Now I hope they do that, and if they don't, I'll be really pissed off.
That's what I expect them to do, but whether it is...
That's a real missed opportunity if they don't do that now. I'll be really annoyed if they don't do that.
And like you said, over time, they could easily evolve it. They could have a season where it's all based on the flood, and the flood escapes from a part of the ring, and then everyone's fighting off versions of the flood, and I don't know, if the flood kill you, maybe there's a flood variant of a Spartan running around.
Fortnite infection. Yeah, infection. Fortnite already did it. They do it every Halloween. They have a few ghosts that are set, or I think a player starts as a ghost, or a few ghosts are let loose. If you die, you become a ghost, and all of a sudden, slowly, all 100 players turn into ghosts, and it's the last man standing, and all the ghosts just start coming for the last guy. It's infection. It's just infection. That's all it is. It's Battle Royale infection. Once again, Halo already did infection.
Yeah.
Many years ago.
There's plenty of books they can take inspiration from as well. Plenty of Halo books.
They should just rename Halo Missed Opportunity. Like, there's just so much stuff. Like, there's so many pieces already there and have been there for, like, the decade or more. And that were all there for Battle Royale, and they just never did it.
Yeah.
It's just...
Yeah, I fully agree with that. It's got all the elements to make a perfect Battle Royale game.
Yep, all of them. And this is what I kept saying to John before Halo Infinite launched. Everything I'm saying to you guys today, I said like nearly 2 years ago. I'm like, the pieces are there. Like, they have to have a Battle Royale. They have to. Like, it makes no sense not to. Because it's not
when they bring story content, they could even theme some of the content in the Battle Royale to what's going on in the story.
Exactly. Yeah, it's a perfect fit. Like, I just don't understand why it wasn't there from the start. But then there was a lot not there at the start.
Still not there.
Was it just Battle Royale? I still want to know what the hell was going to launch in 2020.
Oh God, yeah.
I'd hate to see
What
that
was
game
going to
looked
launch? Like, look at Halo right now in April of 2022. And right now, people are complaining. No content, no co-op, no this, no that, no the other. What the hell was this game in November 2020 when it was originally going to launch?
Yeah.
If this is what we have right now, what was it in November 2020?
It makes me wonder as well, because there was supposedly supposed to be 23 maps at launch. Where's the other 13 or so maps?
Really? And this is the other thing, because Forge isn't ready, you can't even rely on community-made maps.
Nope.
And custom games is a shadow of its former self.
So it's a double whammy. Like, yeah, it's unfortunate, because the thing with Halo Infinite is that I feel like people want to play it because it feels so great to play.
Yeah.
Like, it's probably one of the best feeling shooters I've ever played in my life. But it's like the game is doing so much to deter you from wanting to play. It's almost like it's going out of its way to do so.
Yeah.
Gameplay-wise, it's amazing, Halo. Just it lacks content at the moment.
Unbelievable. And, we got that update from, what's his name? Unishek?
Yeah.
I can't remember his name.
John Unishek.
He goes, oh, by the way, guys, the tank glitch, we're getting rid of it. And I'm like, I replied to him. I go, why? Why would you get rid of the tank glitch? It's not breaking the game.
Yep.
It doesn't affect anyone. It's in the campaign.
It's a secret
And
Easter
it's
egg. You've got to
something
do a certain few things in order to unlock it. It's not
Yeah,
just
like
there.
hardly anyone would know about it.
Yep.
Like the only way to do it is to look up a YouTube video. I looked up the YouTube video, and it's not simple to do.
No.
So it's like, why are you getting rid of it? Like, it's actually a thing that might make people want to play the game because they're like, oh, cool, I can do a lasso run with this. It'll make it a lot easier. I'll go and do it. Why would you actively remove something that's not hurting the game and would, if anything, encourage people to play it? If anything.
Yep.
They're such a weird studio.
Yeah.
343 is such a weird studio. Like, I don't understand.
Didn't they just
some of the
add like
decisions
Flood Firefight to ODST?
Yes,
yeah,
they
Master
did, yeah.
Chief Collection's going amazingly.
Master Chief Collection. Yeah.
like
I kind of want
Oh,
to download that and go back to it and see what the Flood Firefight's
did.
like.
I've just started a legendary run on Halo 3. I'm making my way through all of them. So I've done legendary on CE, 2, 4. Yeah, those 3. I'm now doing a Halo 3 legendary, and then I'll do a Reach. I can't remember if I did ODST or not. But the Master Chief Collection to me will go down as the biggest shame. Like, and not shame as in it's shameful, but it's a shame as in if the Master Chief Collection we have now launched in 2014, I firmly believe that generation would have gone differently.
Mm-hmm.
That's how good it is. And that's how big Halo still was back then.
Yeah.
In 2014, Halo was still huge. Because remember, Halo 4 was probably, I think it was the best-selling Halo ever.
Yeah.
Halo 4. Halo 4 was massive, and it was a stunning game. Like, Halo 4 looks good now.
Yeah.
In the Master Chief Collection, Halo 4 stands up against almost anything.
Good story,
So-
but multiplayer not so much.
Oh, multiplayer wasn't good at all. Although I only play SWAT. So for me, the
I'm the
multiplayer
same.
was fine.
That's why it's my
because
go-to mode.
Oh, SWAT's amazing. Like, the people that don't like SWAT, I find them very odd. Like, well, everyone's like, it doesn't take any skill. And it's like, well, it does. You have to pop headshots.
Oh, you've got to be quick.
How much
You've got
more
to be
skill
real
do you
quick.
want? Like, it requires more skill than the other bullshit mode where you've got a shield and I can unload 10 clips into you and then you just turn around and get me with, like, a rocket launcher.
Yeah.
It's just, get stuffed.
Oh, I love SWAT.
That's
I've loved SWAT since
SWAT,
Halo 2.
SWAT is perfection. SWAT is like this perfect blend of Call of Duty and Halo. Like this beautiful blend of it where you've got the super short time to kill because you're forced into headshots.
Mm-hmm.
But you've still got the maps of Halo and the feel of Halo and SWAT that's ever since Reach, Reach SWAT for me is when it became what it is now. Ever since Halo Reach, I've only played SWAT. SWAT is all I play now.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was so
Halo.
disappointed they didn't. Infinite didn't launch with it, but I was so happy when they brought it to it.
Oh, I was devastated. It didn't have SWAT. But now, Tactical Slayer. Whew.
They need to bring
amazing.
Big Team SWAT, and then we're laughing.
Yes.
Big
For
Team
sure.
SWAT was awesome.
The only problem with SWAT, and they figured it out eventually, you can't have SWAT on Behemoth. It is a stupid map for SWAT.
Yes.
And they have now realized that and banned Behemoth from SWAT.
Good.
Like, you can't play SWAT on Behemoth anymore because it just doesn't work. It's a stupid map.
That's the open one in the sand, isn't it? The
Yeah.
arena one. Yep.
The
Couldn't
capture
stand
it's
playing SWAT
mostly
on that.
capture the flag. It's mostly capture the flag.
I couldn't stand SWAT on that. Hated every minute.
And that's another thing that 343 didn't realize. Like SWAT, you can't just play SWAT on any map.
Needs to
There
be
are
tight
maps.
sort of quarters,
Correct.
small sort of maps.
Like Halo 4 had some incredible SWAT maps. Like Adrift. I don't know if you remember the map Adrift. Oh, probably the perfect SWAT map. Haven, which they redid in Halo 5.
Yeah.
Great SWAT map.
Yeah. Is that the one in Halo
just-
5 with the statue of the elite in the? I think it's in the center or something. It's a map they remade for Halo 5. I thought was one of the great SWAT maps.
I don't know. I know that the Halo 4 Haven map or whatever it was called in Halo was remade in Halo 5. And I think in Halo 5 it's called Haven, but I can't remember its Halo 4 name. But it's an unbelievable SWAT map. But I think 343 have forgotten that you can't just play SWAT on any old map.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, it was
anytime you
Haven.
get anytime you get a behemoth SWAT match, it's just the absolute worst.
Yeah.
The
Most people
absolute
go
worst.
straight for the underground part to hide.
Yep.
That's me. I go straight down there and just sort of poke out and just take
that's
out
me.
guys that I see. Because if you go out there, you're dead.
Yep.
Yep.
If you go out there, you are dead. Like because it's all open, and that's not what SWAT is. Like in a mode where you die instantly from a headshot, you can't have a map that's open.
Nope.
It's got to be
It's
small and
stupid.
tactical.
Yeah, it's got to be small and closed and corridors and like you can't just have a big open map. Like how did they not realize that? Oh, anyway. SWAT is amazing. That's the point. The point is that SWAT is unbelievable. And I know that a lot of Halo fans don't like that opinion because they're all about
I love it. There's a esports
Traditional
league for
Halo.
SWAT as well.
oh, it's so good. And I'm so much better at it than I am normal Halo.
Yeah, I'm exactly
Like,
the same.
Yep.
The difference is night and day. Like normal Halo, I'm this terrible, mediocre, garbage player that doesn't get a lot of kills and dies a lot, so I contribute nothing to my team. But in SWAT, I'm the one that's grabbing everyone and just dragging them along with me. Like it's the total opposite.
That's me. Yeah.
in SWAT.
I'm not so
The
good at
total opposite.
normal Halo game modes, but SWAT, I'm always at the top of the leaderboard.
Yeah, always. I'm always top 2, top 3 all the time in SWAT. It's just, I love it. Love it. Can't get enough of it.
See, the thing
Imagine a
that
SWAT Battle Royale.
oh god, yeah.
That would be messy.
Yes,
That
it
would
would.
be so messy.
Yes, it would. Yeah, God. But the thing about Halo that obviously winds the most people up is the fact that after so long, it's okay. We've got one arena map and one big team battle map,
Yeah.
and the store. I
Yep.
still don't understand for a game that revolves around microtransactions, which is a free to play. The store's terrible. Like there's nothing in there to buy. They've got like a revolving 2 items. You're like, is this
But
it?
most of it's boring stuff.
Yeah.
Like, again, this is another example of 343, someone holding a sign in front of their face and they don't get it. What was the thing that sold the most on their store? The cat ears.
Yeah,
Everyone
I
bought
was
those
about
cat
to
ears.
say.
Everyone
As
bought
much
those
as I
cat
don't
ears.
want to accept it.
Yeah, everyone bought those cat ears, and everyone bought those the at launch. What were they? The Halo Championship Series ones.
Yeah, I got
those awesome
one.
carbon fiber looking.
Yeah.
They didn't take that and go, oh, so this is the stuff people like. Cool. Let's just go make these other boring things that no one buys.
Yeah.
I didn't buy any of the esports league.
I
I
did
did,
because they are hot.
Yeah.
I like them,
They are.
but I don't do one in purple.
They do not, which was disappointing. The other mistake they made with Halos, and it's a part of the reason, like they go hand in hand. So people don't buy stuff in the shop because you can't put it on any core.
Yep, that was a big mistake.
So they screwed up the core system. So why would I want to buy something that won't go on the core I want to use?
Yeah.
It's like the way they've
it's-
done the color schemes as well, like locking them to a
Yeah.
core as well. Why?
Yeah, and I discovered that with the cat ears. I bought the cat ears like an idiot. And I'm like, cool, I'll put the cat ears on my cool HCS carbon fiber Spartan.
Just destroys the
No.
Yeah. The skin goes,
Yeah.
disappears.
I hope
like,
they do
no.
work like on fixing that because I want to be able to put. There's a specific purple color skin that I have. I think it's like a lilac sort of color or something like that. And I can't use it on the armor that I want to wear. So I have to use an armor set I don't really want to use.
And guess what? I don't buy stuff from the store anymore now.
No.
Because why would I? Like, logically, why would anyone buy something from the store? If you're lucky that the thing you think is cool happens to suit the core you use, great. Good on you. But what about the other 90% of us?
Yeah.
It's like the samurai skin as well. You can't equip your favorite color to that.
Nothing. Like I said, I wanted to use the cat ears on these other cores and I couldn't. So I just threw away money. I don't even use the cat ears now. I just bought them and don't even use them. So now I'll probably never buy anything ever again from that store. And this is coming from a guy who has spent hundreds and hundreds of dollars on Fortnite skins.
I'm the same. Hundreds. I had to snap myself out of it. They brought so many skins to it, the Marvel skins especially.
Oh, that Marvel season. Oh my God, that Marvel season. As soon as I saw Iron Man was level 100, I'm like, I have to get to level 100 right now.
And then they started bringing DC characters into it, and that was when I stopped playing Fortnite. They brought the Flash in, and he's my favorite DC character, and I was like, no, I'm not doing it.
Nah, I buy so many dances and so many skins, but in Fortnite you can pair any dance with any character, and you can pair that's the thing. And you might say, oh, but you can't add. Well, you can. You can add any back bling to any character, and you can add any harvesting tool to any character.
I think there's very few that don't work with certain characters. Like I think Thor's hammer might not work with.
Yes, I was about to say there's a handful out of thousands. There's a handful of character-specific harvesting tools or back blings or emotes or flight things. Like Superman has a specific flight thing that no one else can equip. Stuff like that. But that's like, they're exceptions. In Halo, that's just standard. And this is the problem. So Halo, I'm a whale that spend hundreds on this useless shit.
Yeah.
And
that would be me as well. I love Halo. That would have been me as well with Halo. I would have bought so much stuff if it would have fit on other pieces of armor, but they don't. So unfortunately, I don't waste the money.
I was there day one, and I bought that cool black and yellow HCS skin, and I bought the cat ears, but then when I realized, like, I wanted that HCS look, that black carbon fiber with the yellow highlights. I wanted that with one of the other cores.
Yeah.
And I realized I couldn't do it, and I'm like, oh, so I have to have this armor set, and that's it.
Yeah, and you can't alter it at all.
I can't have this cool look.
Yeah, like I got the black and red one, and I was like, oh, I'm going to put a red visor on the black and red one, and gone. Can't do that.
No, couldn't do it.
I do expect they'll fix it, but it'll take them some time.
Oh, it's going to take a long time because they have to fundamentally change how the whole structure of it works. So it's going to take ages before they do that, if they ever bother to do it.
Yeah.
Because you know what's going to happen, don't you? You know what's going to happen, don't you? 343 are going to do the traditional Microsoft thing, and they're going to see what the data tells them, and the data's going to tell them that no one's buying anything, so they're going to turn around and go, oh, well, why should we bother?
Yeah.
You know that's what's going to happen. Let's be honest. That is what's going to happen.
Yeah.
Rather than understanding that
the reason people aren't.
Microsoft has a data problem.
But look at it from the logical point of view, is they need to fix it to sell the stuff.
Correct. But that's not how Microsoft works. Microsoft is one of those companies that looks at the data, takes no context into the data, and says, well, the data tells us we should or shouldn't do this thing, so that's what we're going to do. That's Xbox One in a nutshell. The data was telling them that everyone watches Netflix on their 360. Cool. TV with Xbox One. It's like, well, no, I understand that that's what the data's telling you, but there's context around that data. It's the end of the generation. The 360 has reached, casual penetration where it's all casual people buying it, using it as a Netflix box, blah, 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 blah. This is the launch. You don't launch that way. You launch for the hardcore, end with the casual.
Yeah.
So yes, your data without context is telling you that everyone's using their 360 as a media box. That's what your data is telling you, and I understand that. But there's context around that data. And my worry is the 343 is going to do the same thing.
Yeah.
They're going to see the data, and the data's going to tell them no one's even buying anything from the store. And they're going to go, okay, well, don't worry about it. We'll leave it because no one's buying anything anyway. Rather than looking at the context and saying, well, hold on, if we fix this and allow people to attach any color to any core and any accessory to any core, they'll start buying.
And then the money, that's what that will
And then
come.
the money will roll in. Because here's two whales. There's two whales on this podcast right now that are giving hundreds of dollars to Epic and not 343.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not lying here. Like that, I'm a massive Halo fan and I want to buy stuff, but I'm not going to buy stuff if I can't use it on a core I want to use it on.
Yeah. And you shouldn't, like you say, with everything, including on Fortnite, you don't have to go through the hundreds of levels to get the final person. If you want to just buy the final person, you can just buy the final person.
I can.
And that's what they need to do in the Battle Pass as well. If you want to grind through 100 hours to get that, go for it. Or buy it.
I think you can buy levels though, can't you?
You can buy levels, but
Yeah, you
far
can.
more
Yeah, I think they're
costly
like
experience to
200
do that.
credits.
Yeah.
Oh, is it a lot of money? I wasn't sure how much money it is.
Like
Yeah.
200 credits, which is I think like $1 maybe, $1 a level, something like that.
Because I know Halo. I know Fortnite does it in 25 level
Yeah, they
bunches.
do, yeah.
And they're not super cheap. They're not, I wouldn't call them cheap myself. But at the same time, I don't think Fortnite's a grind in the same way Halo was.
No, it's not. Like, there's so many challenges on Fortnite for even the most random
just
of
constantly.
things. Yeah.
Yeah.
Like
you know,
Halo still at this point doesn't even have XP for winning. Like, you don't get
Yeah, I know.
bonus XP for winning. Like, that doesn't incentivize me to do well in the game. Then
Or even if you're playing Slayer, there's no like kill incentive.
Yep. I know. It's crazy. Like, and I said this to John, I'm like, the counters are all there. They have the counters. They must have the underlying counters that are your stats, that are keeping track of your stats, how many kills you've got, how many headshots you've got, how many bullets you've shot, how many meters you've run. So start accessing that data and use it to give people XP. Hey, you've run 1,000 meters. Hey, you've shot 1,000 bullets. Hey,
a little hit of
using
dopamine that you get from winning makes you want to win again and again and again to get more and more bonus XP. So you level up. There's none of that.
Oh God, at launch, man. Like I remember at one point I won 2 or 3 matches in a row, got all these kills, and my meter didn't move at all. Didn't move at all. I'm like, what? I didn't level up at all after that. All
nothing.
that. It's just
I recently just maxed out the battle pass through grinding effortlessly.
oh, they went the other way. They reversed it and made it too easy to get to 100 because they were responding to everyone complaining.
And now there's nothing worth me doing. I've just got to wait now to the next season so I can level up again.
Yeah, it's
There's no leveling up or want for me to
like
continue
I said,
playing.
343 is a weird studio.
Yeah.
Like, how is it possible that you come into a free-to-play multiplayer game, you've had everyone else lay out the blueprint for you, you've had Epic lay out the blueprint for you, Respawn laid out the blueprint for you, PUBG, all these games that came along and showed everyone how you do it.
And they didn't
And
research
they
any
still
of them.
managed to do what they did. that is just, I don't understand.
Yeah.
There's so many
nothing wrong
different
with
battle
copying.
passes they could have looked at and gone,
Yeah.
we could do it like that, or we could do it like that with a twist of that. And
Yep.
they just ignored it like it didn't exist. And they did their own thing.
And these are all old games. It's not like they're new games. Fortnite's been around since what, 2018?
Yeah.
2017? Halo started proper development, probably around then, 2017, 2018.
Like Fortnite's battle passes are ridiculous. Like you get new characters every set that you go through.
Yeah.
It's like a new character, new skins.
They give you
new
so
weapon
much
skin.
stuff.
Loads.
And you get
so
V-Bucks
much
in there as
stuff.
well, and you never got that
Yep.
in the first season.
Don't get
of
that in the
Halo.
Halo pass. I
Well,
mean, that's standard now in battle passes.
Yeah, but
Even Call of Duty does it.
Yeah, Call of Duty Warzone, when that launched with its first battle pass, you could earn COD points through
For the next battle pass.
for the each tier. Like every now and then you'd get 100 COD points.
Yep. Like they just, how is it possible that they don't understand the system when everyone else has shown them how to do it?
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like it's just baffling. It is absolute. Like they are just the strangest studio. Like I don't understand that everyone else, even though Halo was the franchise that laid out the blueprint for everyone else to begin with, as far as first-person shooters goes, then everyone else went and laid out all the other blueprints, Battle Royale, Battle Passes, this, that, the other, and they ignored all of it. They just chose to ignore all of it.
Yep.
And make stuff that's far worse.
Yeah.
It's just, man,
Like
they're,
I say,
they're
it just
a
doesn't
frustrating
make, just
studio.
doesn't make any sense to me. Like the state the store's in, there's nothing there. Like, how do you expect
Nothing.
people to buy anything or spend anything on the game if there isn't anything to buy? There's nothing.
Oh, there
Zero.
would have been stuff there. There would have been all the samurai themed armor that they were going to sell to people, but because of the uproar, and they said that most of the items would be free, and it turned out that it wasn't. They pissed a lot of people off there, and unfortunately, they had to give all that out for free because they messed up.
And then it was locked to a core no one wanted to use.
Yeah.
The whole core thing is the core of the problem. Like, they have to fix that because no one's going to buy stuff while it's locked away to cores people don't use.
Oh yeah.
Customization's been a big thing in Halo since Halo 3. We unlocked our stuff. It had a progression system, a level system. And Halo Reach really took that and made it huge. And then but everyone wants to look like an individual in Halo. Unfortunately, right now everyone looks the same.
Everyone looks the same. It's like you see the same 4 or 5 Spartans over and over again in every match.
Yeah.
And it's just
Same armor cores, same colors, everything.
Yep. It's just, like I said, I've said it for years and I'll continue saying it. They are just the weirdest studio. They're just, and they're not some small indie. They're a massive studio.
Oh,
they're
huge.
one of the biggest in the world.
It's also why I don't
It's
get
like,
how they've only come up with 2 maps.
Yeah.
2 maps? Like, how?
What have they been doing?
You can't have, like, the entire studio cannot be working on bug fixing
Yeah.
and armor cores. Like, surely there's one team dedicated to making maps, and you're telling me they've only came up with 2? 2 maps.
But the other problem with that is it paints a picture that it's like they just started developing this game 6 months ago.
Yeah.
They've been working on this game for years. Like, it's hard not to ask the question. It's hard. Like, as much as you don't want to, because, making games is hard. Everyone knows that. But it's hard not to ask the question. They almost force you to ask the question. What have you been doing all this time?
I mean, we've seen it recently when they came out and said, we know we can't really say anything else now because the people have got to the point where they're too pissed off with it.
What have they been doing? And I understand. I know a lot of people like to make excuses for them. I mean, XboxEra has their own dedicated Halo podcast, and I piss them all off all the time. But what have they all been doing? Like, every studio has been dealing with the pandemic. Every studio...
Yeah, but like they've been working on this Halo for like 6 years in total, right?
Every studio in the world is effectively in the same boat, give or take.
Yeah.
So we can't just always make excuses for 343 and Halo all the time, because how are Insomniac pumping out all this stuff? And how
I mean, look
are
at Elden
Respawn
Ring. The amount of content is in Elden Ring.
Yeah.
Huge.
How are Respawn doing what they're doing? They're smaller than 343.
Yeah.
I mean, the team working on Fortnite, it's probably not as big as 343.
No.
Like, I don't know, man. Like, I'm not understanding how you can't ask questions of them. Like, it's like they're begging you to ask the questions.
Exactly.
I kind of, like, even from the outside in, you would think it can't be that difficult to make skins for weapons and skins for armor. It can't be that difficult.
Well, the systems would already be in place now.
Yeah, exactly. So I don't understand
The
why
systems are
it
built.
would take so long to bring different colors out and different textures and like bring out just a carbon fiber set or something or some weird and wonderful colors or like actual colors that don't look like ashy. Like the vast majority of the colors that you unlock are like dirty and beaten up and things. You're just like,
Pastely, like a dirty pastel color thing.
but
Yeah.
you can't really see the
There's-
color in half of them.
There's so many talented artists out there that do fan art that look like it's just ripped straight from the game. Why can't they put some of that talent to use? These people love Halo. They live, breathe Halo. They make fan art for Halo on a daily basis. Why don't you just get that talent?
That's the other thing. Like, I don't think there's another game out there that has the community contribute to it as much as Halo.
No.
And 343 doesn't even lean on that much. Like, it's just bizarre. The whole thing is bizarre. Like, Halo
very
5,
weird.
like, look at Halo 5. People forget Halo 5 launched without Forge. It launched without, was it Big Team Battle? Maybe I need my memory refreshed on this one, but
It did have a
feel-
lot of content missing.
yeah, Halo 5 was missing a lot too. And then the multiplayer maps ended up being all community driven. They were all Forge maps. And
If they'd put their focus on getting Forge out for launch, we wouldn't be in this predicament right now with lack of content because there'd be so much
guys
community-driven content.
guys like John would have already made probably 3 maps for Halo Infinite already. You know, so this is the thing. Everyone laughs at Blue Box, right? The abandoned studio. And everyone rips out that image showing Blue Box's history. They've done this before. This is why I found the whole Blue Box thing hilarious.
Yeah.
Because I was just like, how have you people not already seen
Have
that
you
they've
seen
done
some of them
this
interviews?
73 times before?
You seen some of them
I didn't even know they
interviews?
existed until they popped up in the limelight when it was supposed to be a Kojima thing.
Oh, they've done it. They've done it many times. They say, "Yep, we're making this game." Game never happens. Hey, look at this. We're making this game. Game never happens. Like they keep doing it. But
I think they only had one thing come out, and that was early access, and then it went back into
That's right.
like hiding.
But that's a tangent I definitely don't want to go down. But 343 would have a similar thing. Like they've done this before. Like they did it with Halo 5. They launched missing a bunch of, and this was pre-pandemic. There was no pandemic in Halo 5 when Halo 5 came out.
Yep.
And this is why I get bothered when I see people using the pandemic as an excuse. Because they've already done this before. So what was the excuse with Halo 5?
Yeah.
Because there was no COVID.
Exactly.
So why did Halo 5 launch without all this stuff as well? Like, I think it's just 343. Like, I know we want to, because we all love Halo and we want to find the excuses for them and give reasons, blah, 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 blah. I just think it's a 343 problem.
Yeah.
And
I don't know if it's a problem with the development team or the leadership at the development team, but something needs to change.
I know people don't like when you say it's the leadership, but it's probably the leadership. Probably
Unfortunately. I don't think,
I mean,
like I say, it's I can't wrap my head around that many people working on Halo and the little amount of content that's coming out for it. It doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense.
I
You can't
mean-
have a studio of that magnitude and this little content comes out. Like even the most basic of stuff, it doesn't add up. Like you can't have the entire team working on bug fixing and correcting issues.
I mean, I'd be fascinated to hear the story behind the 2020, May 2020 or July 2020 demo.
Yeah.
Because I've heard stories. I don't know which ones are the true stories, but I've heard stories, and that's why I'm not commenting on the stories, because I don't want to say something and then people run with it and go, oh, well, this is what happened to 343. So I'm not going to repeat the stories I've heard, because I've heard a couple.
Yeah.
But I'd be fascinated to hear the real story behind that July 2020 demo. Because are we to believe that the higher-ups did not see that demo before it was shown? Doubt it. I'd be kind of surprised if higher-ups didn't see that demo. And if they did, they all watched that demo and went, yep, that's fit to show.
Yeah.
Go with it.
It wasn't. It wasn't.
It's just, and again, that's why I'd love to know the real story. Because again, I've heard versions.
Yeah.
But I would love to know the real story behind that demo, because
You know what it is? The funny thing is everybody that watched that demo said exactly the same thing. The gameplay looks tight, but
amazing.
everything else.
Gameplay looked great. Gameplay looked great. And I can only assume that that's what they were all looking at.
Yeah.
They all saw how fun and cool it looked to play and went, great, let's show it. Not realizing that it wasn't great looking. I mean, that's part of the reason I was always fighting, saying, ditch Xbox One. Ditch it. Ditch Xbox One. It's going to hold this game back. I know people want to believe about the whole, there's no holding back. There's no holding back. There is. Look at Horizon Forbidden West. Look at God of War Ragnarok. Yes, as great as those games look, they still don't look hugely different from their PS4 versions. Why? Because the PS4 version exists.
Yeah.
It's not a knock on those games per se. It's just the reality. If God of War Ragnarok has to run on PS4, it's not going to look as good as it could if it was only on PS5.
Yeah. Agreed.
It's just the reality. It's not me trying to knock anyone. It's just, if Halo Infinite has to run on a VCR Xbox One, it has to be held back. It has to be. There's no other reality to it.
Yeah.
Like, it's... And I don't know why. Who is playing Halo Infinite on a VCR Xbox One right now? Who? Like,
No
seriously.
idea.
And this is what I kept saying. I'm like, the number of people playing Halo Infinite on an Xbox One would be so much smaller than the other consoles.
Yeah.
It'd be so much smaller. Everyone's like, oh, but there's 60 million consoles. Okay, how many of those are actually being used?
Yeah.
Like,
How many of those are probably broken, just sitting gathering dust?
that's what I mean. Like, and this is more about that contextless data. Oh, well, there's 50 million, 60 million Xbox Ones. Yeah, so? They're not all playing right now. A lot of them are Netflix boxes. They're not all
Well, they're sitting
playing
on some
games.
collector's shelf.
Exactly. I had 10 360s. I was part of those 85 million. I had 10 of them. I'm one guy with 10 of them. Like, there's context to numbers. You don't just take the numbers. Like, data has context.
Yeah.
The number of people playing Halo Infinite on an Xbox One was always going to be minuscule. And it was stupid to tie this game down to it. Especially when they knew they were about to launch the cloud gameplay on Xbox One. I've played Halo Infinite on an Xbox One S via the cloud. Looks and plays better than a native version. So you went and tied it down to Xbox One for what?
No
For what?
reason.
Because
I'm
you
still at
used
the
dumb
mind
data.
where they should have delayed Halo Infinite again.
That part I don't know if I agree with, because I've seen a lot of people say that, and I understand why. I fully understand why. The only reason I don't quite agree with that is I think it had already been delayed enough. I think it was going to hit
I
a
fully
point
understand that, yeah. But
I feel
I'm just
like if they
thinking
had
of,
kept delaying it, it would have hurt the game more and more and more and more. Because the pressure would have grown on 343, and then it snowballs. So you delay it again, which means in people's minds, they're going to think that, oh my God, Halo's going to look even better. It's going to feel even better now. It's going to have all this. It was still going to look the way it looked, even if they delayed it again. It was still going to play the way it played, even if they delayed it again. All it was going to have was a little bit more content.
yeah, and that's where
here we
I'm
are.
sort of sitting.
Here we are 5 months later, and look at where it is. So if they had delayed it 5 months, is it enough content?
True, yeah.
It's not, is it?
Nope.
So even if they had delayed it 5 months, it still would have come out with what we have right now, which isn't enough, and people would have gone, oh my God, you delayed it again, and this is what you had.
I think I'm just tired of it's not just this with Halo. It's so many games launching incomplete.
That's just the world, I think, now. That's just the thing I think we have to get used to.
See, and
Because
then we get games like Elden Ring, who launch with like this massive,
Exactly.
ridiculously huge world with unbelievable amount of side quests, main quests, side bosses, side stories, random dungeons under dungeons in dungeons and
Yep.
caves, like, and this is a complete package. Like, it's the first game we've seen for a long
Yeah.
time where it came out complete.
and that's been in development for a long time too, though.
Yeah,
Long time.
yeah.
Probably longer than people think.
Oh yeah,
But I mean, again, that's an example of, you know, From they have a system, they have a formula, and they stick to it no matter what.
yeah,
And that would help with development. 343, on the other hand, are a bit different. They're not From. 343 don't have a theme. They don't have a system. Halo is completely different to Halo. Halo 4 is completely different to Halo 5, which is completely different to Halo Infinite, which is completely different to Master Chief Collection. Like, there's no set way. You know, like, I don't know if I'm explaining myself properly, but 343 is all over the place.
yeah.
Where From have their formula and they stick to it. So Elden Ring, again, I don't play From games, so maybe I'm going to say something wrong here. But Elden Ring is still in that Souls
Oh, 100%.
vein.
Yeah, 100%.
So they have their lane, and that's what they stick to, and that would help
You know what's-
speed up development.
I was going to say, you know what really helped Elden Ring, though? And I said it about, because I've played other Souls games for much lesser time. And I couldn't, as much as I could understand why people were enjoying them, I also found them highly frustrating because because you were confined to these small corridors, a lot of the attacks that you were trying to do, and you had to just cling on the wall, catch objects, not attack the enemy, hit everything but the enemy, die easily because you're in a confined space. And as soon as I played that, and then I seen Elden Ring, nice open world spaces to roll around and maneuver, I was like, if any Elden Souls game is going to get, well, any Souls game is going to get us into it, it's going to be Elden Ring, because you've actually got room to fight. You've got room to do your attacks and things. I think that's probably aided them, and why I think Elden Ring has done so well as well, because just being open world has made it more accessible.
Yeah. Well, I mean, people don't like hearing the Breath of the Wild comparisons, but it's their Souls Breath of the Wild, basically.
Yeah,
Kind of.
yeah.
Probably less Breath of the Wild and more Ubisoft, I guess. Because
Yeah.
the problem is everyone gets confused. Whenever the Breath of the Wild comparisons come up, people just assume you're talking about open world. It's like, but no, it's not. A Breath of the Wild comparison isn't about open world. It's more about systems and like a game just letting you do whatever, like in a proper sandbox, more so than open world. Because open worlds have been around forever.
Yeah.
But it was a Breath of the Wild is about systems, not just open world. The open world is there to exploit the systems, but it's the systems side of it that makes Breath of the Wild what it is. And that's why Halo Infinite kept getting called the Breath of the Wild Halo game.
Yeah, because the grapple
that's what
hook and being
Infinite
able to
has.
do certain things. And
That's right. It's all about the systems. Like, you see the crazy stuff people are doing. Like, you see videos of Halo Infinite, and they're a lot like Breath of the Wild videos where people do something crazy with a system, and it leads to, there was that dude that he attached himself to a warthog that he exploded, and then it threw him across the map, and he made it all the way across to the other side of the map. That's what Breath of the Wild is, and that's what Halo Infinite is. It's not about the open world per se in isolation. It's about the crazy systems within it that allow you to do wild stuff. Funny thing is, you know what game I didn't realize did all that first? And it's never acknowledged for being Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild?
what's that?
Banjo-Kazooie Nuts and Bolts.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Yeah, come to think of it.
No one gave it that recognition. Nuts and Bolts was Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild.
Never played it.
And it's crazy. Like that game, I never mind. I mean, I know it's not a traditional banjo game.
Yeah.
It's not what people wanted. But as a game in isolation on its own, strip away the banjo IP and just make it a platformer with systems on its own.
Yeah.
It's a good game. Nuts and bolts. It was actually a good game. And just like Breath of the Wild, it had systems and you could do crazy stuff. And, you know, it even had, like, Breath of the Wild has that ability where you've got the magnet and you can move stuff around. Banjo-Kazooie already had that. Back in 2008. People don't realize that game was Breath of the Wild before Breath of the Wild. 10 years before it. I don't know why I said that. I thought of it just now because we were talking about Breath of the Wild and Halo Infinite and systems, and it reminded me of Banjo-Kazooie, Nuts and Bolts, which had all of that stuff. And I'm seeing someone in the chat already, and Half-Life did it before Halo. Yeah, Half-Life did have some of that stuff too.
Yeah.
Half-Life 2 more so than 1, I think. But maybe I'm wrong.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
You're
can.
playing Half-Life 2, you'd know.
Yeah.
But yeah. I think the point of that story before we went on another tangent was no one is buying shit from the Halo store.
Yeah, no one's buying shit from the Halo store.
No one's buying stuff from the Halo store. No one at all.
Oh dear me. It's things that could
God. I can't believe we've been going for 3.5 hours.
3.5 hours, I know. My God. I think we've covered pretty much everything, to be fair. We've covered the topics, but in very small functions, so we've kind of covered them and then just went off on tangents.
Yeah. We spoke about the main topic for like a minute or two and then like spent half an hour or more on some other tangent.
I don't think we mentioned about the Witcher 3 delay though.
Yeah. Of course, Witcher 3's delayed. I think, to be fair,
well, yeah.
Obviously, we know there's for a change a very justifiable reason for that one. Obviously, it was a Russian studio that was doing it. It's coming in-house. At the minute, they've just said, for the time being, it's indefinitely delayed. I think that's just until they figure out how much work's been done and what needs to be done.
Yeah.
We could still see it this year. It just depends on once they've got all of it back and they've gone, right, so how far along was this?
Yeah.
They might say, right, okay, it's probably close to Q4. It could be Q1 2023.
I'd be surprised if it was this year. And I mean, what's the rush?
Yeah.
It's The Witcher 3. Like, there's plenty of games out there where we don't need to rush them for a Witcher 3 enhanced.
The funny thing is, though, we said that. We were like saying that about the Cyberpunk patch, and they were just like, surprise! We were dropping it in the same week as Elden Ring. Okay, good stuff.
That's what I mean. That's what I mean. So I wouldn't expect that this year.
No.
Probably more next year.
Yeah. Which is unfortunate.
It is very.
Another little story as well that I managed to miss. It was last week. The Days Gone developer has joined Crystal Dynamics. Director. The Days Gone director who left.
Jeff Ross, I think his name is.
Yeah.
Ah, really?
Yes, he's joined Crystal Dynamics. So I wonder what that's on.
I think it's some sort of creative director or something along those lines.
I would argue then that he's probably there for Tomb Raider.
That's what I think.
Well, I mean, which game is more like Days Gone?
Yeah, that's what I was saying. More of a narrative-driven game.
He'd be part of Tomb Raider, I'd say. That's very interesting hire.
It is.
Might be part of an Xbox studio soon.
Yeah.
Days Gone director Jeff Ross has joined Crystal Dynamics as design director.
So that's Tomb Raider.
Yeah.
That'd be Tomb Raider for sure.
That's
interesting.
Definitely very interesting. Very interesting. It's to be honest, it's good to know because I'm glad after he felt like he was kind of let down by Sony as well when he left. Saying his game hadn't lived up to expectations, wasn't good enough, sheerly just down to the fact that it didn't hit Metacritic scores.
I
Sales
really
wise,
enjoyed Days
Sony,
Gone.
this is what I keep saying to people. Sony has always fed into that console war stuff.
yeah,
That's why it didn't shock me at all that the reason they looked down on Days Gone was because of the Metacritic.
yeah,
Because sales wise, did better than a lot of other PlayStation games.
Did as good as Ghost of Tsushima.
Yep, sure did. But it wasn't as pretty as Ghost of Tsushima, and it didn't get the Metacritic of Ghost of Tsushima, so all of a sudden it's not as good.
yeah.
I really enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that game. I was hoping for a sequel, but
So,
It's not
so
gonna
how
happen.
much do sales really matter to Sony then?
I don't
much
think
do they
do
really matter?
because at the same time they praised Returnal and that barely scratched 1 million.
Sold jack all.
Yeah,
Didn't even crack 1 million.
yeah,
On a console, starved of new exclusives. Didn't even sell them. Ratchet and Clank, loved it to death. Barely cracked 1 million.
they haven't even
On a
mentioned
console-
sales figures for Horizon.
And I keep, people don't like it when I say this stuff, but it's a myth. This whole exclusives thing is a myth. It's a myth perpetuated by Twitter fanboys. Oh, everyone buys consoles because of exclusives. No, they don't.
No,
No, they don't.
no.
They buy them because that's the popular console at the time, and that's what their friends are on, and that's what's playing COD and Fortnite, and
Yeah,
that's why
exactly.
they buy consoles.
That's what plays the casual games that all the casuals play. Simple
And
as
once
that.
you have that momentum from the start, that's it. The 360 had it. The
Yeah.
360 nabbed that attention at the start, and it got that momentum, and then it became the COD machine, and that was it. Didn't matter that PlayStation had Last of Us, and it didn't matter that 360 only had Halo, Gears, and Forza.
Yeah,
That's it. That's all it had. But it was already the mainstream box by then.
oh yeah,
So it didn't matter. They already had that momentum. I mean, if exclusives mattered, the Wii U would be one of the most successful consoles of all time. So would the Dreamcast.
yeah,
Like it's just a myth. Like they were hyping up Ratchet and Clank. My God, if you were ever on Resetera, they were hyping up Ratchet and Clank like it was going to be one of the greatest games in the history of
second
video
coming.
games. No one bought it.
Yeah.
I was one of the only people that bought it. Like it's just a myth. Like they just they like having all their nice
gonna say the
bull
only
shots taken
console-
before the game comes out. And
only console where it's mattered this last 2 generations specifically has been the Switch. Like that is a phenomenon
Yeah, but-
that I don't think anybody
but
foresaw.
that's Nintendo though.
Yeah,
Nintendo's always been this separate thing
Yeah.
that does things differently and their own way. Like that's always been Nintendo.
yeah. That's always the go-to though when you mention exclusives. They're like, yeah, but look at Nintendo. I'm like, no, you can't look at Nintendo because they're just a law unto themselves. Like
That's right.
The only
They are.
reason
The-
people
the
buy a
Nintendo is a
Switch-
different thing.
yeah, the only reason
Like
people
who buys
buy
a Nintendo
that.
console for third-party games?
Nope.
Who?
that
No
one.
one.
I don't have any third-party games really.
That's what I'm saying. Like Nintendo's always been this different thing. No one buys a Nintendo to play COD or Fortnite or FIFA. That's not why a Nintendo console is bought. But that is why a PlayStation is bought or an Xbox is bought.
Yeah.
And I'm not. And don't get me wrong. Hopefully, no one twists my words to say that no one buys a console ever for exclusives. Of course they do, but it's not what the
Nowhere
majority
near as
do.
big as people think. Yeah.
Like the first year of the PlayStation 4 and Xbox One had way more exclusives and better games. Mm-hmm. Yet everyone bought the PlayStation 4
Yep.
because it's not just about exclusives. There's again context. There's more to it than just that. Yes, exclusives help. Don't get me wrong. They help and they add. They're additive. But very rarely are they the sole reason someone is buying a console. My little cousins didn't buy PS4 to play God of War. All they play on it is Fortnite.
Yeah.
That's all they play on it, literally. They didn't buy it because Spider-Man and God of War are on it.
You know what, Az? I'm
bought
still
it 'cause
surprised
that's what
that
all their friends
PS4
had.
doesn't have Roblox.
Yeah. Did they say that they're bringing it to PlayStation 5
Are they?
and PlayStation 4? Did I imagine that? I swear I saw an announcement where Roblox was coming. Maybe I imagined it.
No idea.
Maybe I'm wrong.
Look at
I
that.
could have sworn I saw something about Roblox coming to PlayStation and Switch, but I could be wrong. I mean, that's the biggest exclusive Microsoft has. Roblox. It's huge. Game is massive. It is. I know we laugh, but it is. Roblox is a legitimately massive game. Absolutely huge.
Yeah, there's job listings to develop Roblox for PlayStation, but it seems like that's a while
so
off
it is
yet.
going to come eventually.
Yeah,
It's going to come eventually.
it makes sense. It's as big as it's pretty much as big as Minecraft.
Yeah, and yet, has it made a dent in sales? Are people buying Xbox Ones in droves for it?
Nope.
Nope. And that game's huge. And it's exclusive to Xbox.
Yep.
Only console you can get it on. And the console version's the safest version.
Yeah.
And for those of you who are parents with kids, you will know what I am saying. The Xbox version of Roblox is the good one. It's the safe one, the one where you don't have to stress about what they're playing.
Yeah.
It's not causing people to buy Xboxes in droves, is it?
Nope. That just
And that's
always
with a genuinely
it always
huge
baffled me that game was
Minecraft-sized game.
Yeah, it always baffled me that game was that big and it was only on PC and Xbox. I was like, how is that game?
And iOS. It's on iOS
Oh,
too.
iOS as well, yeah.
Well, that's where my kids play it. My kids play it 99% of the time on their iPads.
Yeah. Fair one.
Every now and again they play it on their Xboxes, but it's mostly on their iPads.
Right. So I didn't
Because
know
it can
that.
run on anything. Like, I think even an iPod Touch can run it. Like, it just runs on just about anything.
Like Skyrim.
And yet, yeah. And then it's like, it's not causing people to buy Xboxes in droves.
Nope.
Why not? It's this weird myth that's just been perpetuated for many, many years, and it's an odd one.
Yeah. It is.
I don't know.
very
I'm not
strange.
saying they don't matter at all, but I think that it's overblown. I think their effect is overblown. And you only have to look at the sales of most of those exclusives to understand that.
Yeah.
It's fine to trumpet out God of War 20 million, Horizon 20 million, but for every God of War and Horizon at 20 million, there's a whole bunch of Returnals and Ratchets and Concrete Genies and all these other ones that aren't doing those numbers.
Yeah.
That's right. Where Nintendo doesn't have that as much. Even Nintendo's bad selling games are still in like the 4, 5, 6 million numbers.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah.
alongside the 40 million Mario Karts and the 35 million Animal Crossings. And that's the other thing. Nintendo's top sellers are nearly double Sony's.
Anything else? Yeah.
Like, and Nintendo's games don't cost as much to make.
Oh no, definitely not.
They don't, and this is the other thing people forget. That's why Nintendo keeps making money hand over fist. Not only do their games sell insane numbers, they cost a fraction of what Sony and Microsoft's games do to make. A fraction. Smart business.
Yeah. Very smart business. Very smart.
Yep. Nintendo are their own beast.
That's right, and they always will be.
Oh,
They
100%.
always will be.
100%. Well, I think
Sorry, guys.
it's all right. I was going to say, I think
Sorry, guys.
we will begin to wrap it up. I think we'll do some 15-minute outros, and that will round it to 4 hours. We'll be good.
Oh, man. Like I said to my wife, I go, no, this won't be long. This isn't going to be long. I think they only go for about an hour and a half.
Oh, it's been awesome.
Oh, we had the same thing. When Cognito was on ours,
Yeah.
it's like he infected us with what the Iron Lords do. You know how the Iron Lords go for like 5-6 hours?
Yeah.
And we had Cognito on, and it ended up being our longest episode. I think we went for like 4 hours. My legs were hurting so much by the end of it.
That's me right now.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I've come on yours now, and it's a 3-hour episode. Because I talk a lot of shit.
Yeah, I was
I love
literally
it
jumped
though.
onto
I could talk forever.
I was going to say I was on Iron Lords like for about an hour and a half just before this as well. So I was doing Iron Lords.
Oh,
and then,
really?
yeah. Iron Lords for like an hour
sorry,
and a half.
I didn't know.
No, it's all right. Because I was like, right, I'm going to burn some time before my show, so I'll jump on the Iron Lords for a bit. Went on the Iron Lords and yeah, then I was like, right, okay, get a drink of coffee and then
I want to go on their show. Like Cognito and I talk, and I want to go on their show. He keeps asking me. I'm like, dude, I want to, but like, it's hard. Like today's Monday, yeah. So normally right now I'd be working. It'd be the middle of my workday, but it's Easter Monday.
yeah.
But even if I had, like, I've got next Monday off as well. It's Anzac Day next Monday here. So I've got next Monday off as well. And I'm tempted to say to Cognito, I can jump on. But then I'm like, fuck, he starts at 5 a.m. for me. I don't know if I want to get up at 5 a.m. on a day off. Like, do you know what I mean? Like, I want to be on. Don't get me wrong. I want to be on their show. But I don't know if I want to get up at 5 a.m. on a day off.
Yeah, it's so,
even now
like,
today I got up at 7:15, and that was a stretch.
I've been, to be fair, I've been asked as well before by some of the American shows where obviously they start late at their time, and it's like, all right, you're gonna join me, and I'm like, oh yeah, what time is it? And they're like, oh, it's this time, and I'm like, oh yeah, that's fine. My alarm's going off for some reason there.
Like right now for you, isn't it like 2 a.m. for you?
Yeah, just about, yeah.
Yeah, we'll be in like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've been invited to ones that start at 4 a.m. and I'm like, no, that's either too late or too early, and I don't know which one it is. Like,
it's hard, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's really, really hard.
Because it's like, do I go to sleep
And I feel bad
beforehand and
now.
try
I
and
feel
wake up
bad
in
that I've
time?
kept you guys up till 2 a.m.
Oh, it's all right.
Oh, that's fine. I suffer with insomnia anyway, so I'll probably be up anyway.
Yeah, it's like,
You look more awake than me, and it's 2 a.m.
do I stay up and like just battle through until 4, or do I go to sleep and try and wake up in time? Like, that's the dilemma that you have.
Oh my god.
Oh dear God! But no, it's been absolutely awesome, Nick. Absolutely awesome, and definitely gonna have
Thanks
to
for
get you
having
on
me.
again in the
Brilliant.
future.
It was great being introduced to you, mate. It's been a
Yeah,
while.
thanks for having me, guys.
No, it's,
I'll try not to waste as much time next time.
no, take
That's
as long
fine.
as you want. The conversation's been great. It's been a good laugh. No, but
A lot of tangents.
yes, no, we do that all the time.
I love
It's
it.
great.
I could talk for England.
No, it's been awesome, brother. If, again, as always, though, to everybody else who isn't watching, let people know where they can find you and what you guys have got coming up. Have you got any special guests coming up that you want to shout out?
Well, yeah, we just had Ed Freeze, that was
Yes,
the one we
massive.
were really excited about.
Yeah.
We're in April, so I believe Brad Sams is jumping on in May.
Nice.
MVG said he'll jump on again in May, so we have them coming up over the next month or so. We're obviously still working on the book. But, you know, basically, it's now that we've got a website, it's easy. Just go to XboxEra.com and you can check everything out from there. The forum's there, the podcast is there, everything is there. If you want to follow me on Twitter, go for it. I talk as much shit on Twitter as I do here.
I'm already following you on Twitter.
Yeah, I talk as much crap on there as I do here. So, yeah, very, very similar. What you see is what you get situation. But yeah, head on over to xboxera.com, check out everything there. The YouTube channel, you know, the reviews are really good. The guys pump out a lot of stuff.
Yes.
And it's hard, you know, when it's not your full-time gig, it's it can get tricky to keep up with. But yeah, check us out. Like, subscribe, all those things.
Yeah. And for those who aren't already, the links are in the description below, every one of them. Well, that's both the
Thanks.
website, the YouTube channel, the Twitter accounts, and everything, both for Xbox Era and for Nick. So all the links are below. If you
Thanks,
don't
guys.
already, hit them all, join them all, follow them all. RSS feed the website. You know how it works.
Yeah, even buy merch. Look,
Yeah.
we've got merch.
The
too.
Friends merch.
Me and John are obsessed with Friends. Like, we discovered that we're both obsessed with Friends. So when we're like, we have to do a T-shirt that's like the Friends logo with Xbox Era. I have to do it.
I noticed that as soon as you jumped on, I was like, Friends t-shirt.
Yeah. As soon as we both discovered we love Friends, we were like, yeah, gotta get an Xbox Era Friends T-shirt. Have to do it.
Awesome stuff. No, definitely. We'll can't wait to have you back on again in the future, and no doubt the tangents will last until God knows what time again.
Yeah, I'll try and rein
great
it in. This time.
conversation.
Next time, I'll try and rein it in.
No, don't worry about it.
That's fine by
Be your
me.
natural self.
I love a good chat. Love a good chat.
Good.
Yeah.
Last but not least, Jen, let people know, of course, where they can find you and what you've got coming up this week.
You can find me on my YouTube channel, The General C, where I make my parcel play videos. I'm working on a Shredders episode next. That should be out maybe towards the end of the week. And on Twitter, the _General_C.
Awesome stuff. And of course, here every Sunday for the weekend edition.
And sometimes on the main show as well.
Yeah, and sometimes in the main show. Yeah, when my guys are stuck at work, which is more often than not these days, to be fair. But yes, you can find me, of course, on Primetime Gaming at midnight UK time every Monday evening. On Wednesday on the Midweek Mix-Up for 7 p.m. UK, and of course. On this week, we have on Saturday the Community Indie Showcase, of course, where we've managed to get Aaron Greenberg to take part as well. So
Oh, wow.
that's going to be awesome. Of course, 3 hours of indie goodness, 107 games shown off, 7 or 8 giveaways, 12 creators, including Lord Cognito, Ains from Season Gaming, Mr. Boomstick XL, a lot of the collective, Pong and Steel and Dunk from Gamers Watch and you name it, they're all on. So massive show. It's going to be awesome. Until then, guys, thanks everyone for joining us, everyone for hanging out this evening and early morning in chat. And we will see you all again next time. Goodbye.
Thanks all. Ciao for now.